As the sun set, neon lights began to light up among the high-rise buildings, and Meng Qi dragged her tired body out of the company building. As an ordinary market specialist, her life is just like this city, busy and monotonous. She has to squeeze into the subway every day, deal with endless reports, and deal with her boss's pickiness. The 25-year-old has become accustomed to this rhythm. The phone vibrated, and it was a message from Yutong. "Chi-Chi, have you finished work? See you at the same place, I brought you a latte." Meng Qi smiled and replied, "I'll be there soon. I'm starving." She quickened her pace and turned into an alley. This was her shortcut home. The alley was filled with trash cans, and a faint musty smell filled the air. Suddenly, the toe of her shoe hit something and made a crisp sound. She looked down and saw a yellowed piece of paper lying on the ground, with curled edges, like an antique book page. "What is this?" Meng Qi bent down to pick it up and shook the dust off it. The paper is covered with strange runes, the lines are twisted like dragons and snakes, and there is a faint scent of old ink. She frowned, trying to identify, what language is this? Does it look like oracle, or is it alien writing? Curious, she touched the edge of the rune with her finger. In an instant, a warm current rushed from the fingertips into the whole body. Meng Qi's eyes widened, and she felt something churning inside her body, like a clear spring gushing out of her dantian, spreading throughout her limbs and bones. Her vision blurred for a moment, and the air around her seemed to thicken, with tiny light spots floating vaguely. What's going on?" she murmured to herself, her heart beating rapidly. After the warmth receded, she felt much clearer and her fatigue was gone. But that strange feeling made her feel uneasy. She hurriedly stuffed the paper into her bag and walked quickly towards the coffee shop. The lights in the cafe were soft, and Yutong was already sitting by the window, with 2 cups of hot drinks in front of her. She is Meng Qi's best friend from college and now works as a copywriter in an advertising company. She always looks lively. "Chi-Chi. Why are you late today? Is the company working overtime again?" Yutong pushed over a cup of coffee and winked. Meng Qi sat down and rubbed her temples. "No, I just ran into something small. I picked up a strange thing on the way to get off work. Take a look." She took out the piece of paper from her bag and spread it on the table. The runes flickered slightly in the light, making them look even weirder. Yutong came over and widened his eyes. "Wow, what is this? An antique? It looks like a mission map from an RPG game. The runes are so cool, where did you pick them up?" "It was just in an alley. Someone might have lost it." Meng Qi shrugged and took a sip of her coffee. As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly felt her palms warm, and the paper began to glow slightly. The runes seemed to come alive, spinning slowly and emitting a light blue light. The air in the coffee shop seemed to be stagnant. The surrounding customers did not notice it, but Meng Qi and Yutong were stunned. "Chi-Chi, is this glowing?" Yutong exclaimed in a low voice, reaching out to touch it, but Meng Qi grabbed her. "Don't move. There's something wrong with this thing." Meng Qi's heart was pounding, and the warm current surged up again, this time stronger. She felt something in her body echoing the map, and spiritual energy surged like a tide, making her hands tremble slightly. Outside the window, a black shadow flashed past, as if someone was peeping. She turned around and saw 2 men in trench coats standing across the street, their eyes as sharp as hawks, staring in the direction of the cafe. "Someone is watching us." Meng Qi lowered her voice, grabbed the map and stuffed it back into her bag. "Yutong, let's go." Yutong was startled. "What? Who are those people? Could they be rag pickers?" The 2 hurriedly checked out and left, and Meng Qi pulled Yutong into the nearby shopping mall. As soon as she entered the elevator, she heard footsteps chasing behind her. When the elevator door closed, she breathed a sigh of relief and leaned against the wall. "What the hell is this? Why does it glow and attract people?" Yutong gasped. "I don't know either, but this thing you picked up is definitely not simple. It feels like the plot of a movie." "Ha, but it's really scary. Why don't you call the police? Meng Qi shook her head, still recalling the feeling of aura in her mind. It didn't feel like an illusion, but real energy that made her whole body feel relaxed. Not yet, I have to figure it out. When the elevator reached the 5th floor, they walked out and found a corner seating area to sit down. Meng Qi took out the map again, and this time she touched the runes carefully. Sure enough, the warmth emerged again. She closed her eyes to feel it, and vaguely heard a whisper in her ears, bloodline, awakening, relics. At this moment, a deep voice came from behind, stop touching it, that thing is not something you can play with casually. Meng Qi turned around suddenly, and saw a tall man standing not far away, wearing a simple black jacket, with a handsome but cold face. He looked to be in his early 30s, and his eyes were as dark as the night. Who are you? How do you know this? Meng Qi stood up alertly and stood in front of Yutong. The man glanced at Yutong and said calmly, I'm here to help you. Call me Mingxian. That map is a relic of our sect. If you picked it up, it has triggered the awakening of the bloodline. Zong? Bloodline? Yutong's eyes widened and she approached Meng Qi. Chi, what is this guy talking about? A novel about cultivating immortals. Mingxian ignored her and looked directly at Meng Qi. You have the blood of cultivators in your body and have been sleeping for many years. This map is the key to the lost ruins, which contains the treasures of our sect. But it has leaked clues and has attracted the attention of outsiders. Those who are chasing you are unknown forces who want to expose our existence. Once the sect is exposed, the entire world of cultivators will be in chaos. Meng Qi's mind was buzzing, and she couldn't deny the surge of spiritual energy just now. What sect are you talking about? Immortal cultivators hidden in the city? This sounds too ridiculous. Mingxian sighed and walked closer. The reality is more complicated than you think. This city is prosperous on the surface, but underneath it hides ancient secrets. We have been practicing quietly for generations, absorbing spiritual energy to avoid being noticed by mortals. But as soon as the map comes out, the balance is broken. The fact that you have awakened your bloodline means that you are destined. Come with me, and I will teach you how to control it. Yutong tugged on Meng Qi's sleeve. Chi, this sounds like a liar. How about we run away first? Meng Qi hesitated. She looked at the map, and the runes seemed to be calling her. The spiritual energy in her body was restless, making her feel unprecedented strength. No, I have to figure it out. Yutong, you go home first and I'll talk to him. Hey! Are you crazy? What if something happens? Yutong was anxious. I'm fine, really. I'll tell you tomorrow. Meng Qi hugged her and watched Yutong leave. There were many people in the mall, so Mingxian took her to a secluded corner, to an empty fitting room. Now, listen to me. Reiki is the foundation of cultivating immortality. You have just awakened, so practice more. Try to take a deep breath and guide it to circulate in the body. Meng Qi nodded, closed her eyes, and followed his instructions. At first, nothing happened, but soon, the warmth came again. She felt the spiritual energy flowing through her meridians like silk threads, rising from her dantian and gathering between her eyebrows. Wow, it feels so comfortable, like soaking in a hot spring. She opened her eyes and said in surprise. Mingxian nodded, yes, you have great talent. But remember, this power comes at a price. The ruins on the map hide the secrets of the sect. Unlocking them can improve your cultivation. But it will also cause more trouble. Those unknown forces may come from the government or enemies of other sections. They want to use the treasures to break the secret rules. Meng Qi held the map tightly. Then what should I do? Throw it away. It's too late. It has already recognized you as its master. Mingxuan's eyes were serious. You have two choices. Ignore it, the bloodline will gradually fade and you will return to ordinary life, or follow the clues, join us, and protect the sect. But this road is full of dangers. Meng Qi looked out the window at the brightly lit city, and the trivial daily routine flashed through her mind: boring work, lonely nights. Now, the power made her feel alive. As smart as she is, she quickly weighs the pros and cons. I choose the second option. We can't let the sect be exposed, right? Tell me, how to take the first step. Ming Xian smiled slightly. Okay, let's start with deciphering the first rune. Come with me and leave here, those people are still chasing me. The two left the mall and walked into the night. Meng Qi followed Ming Xian with a strong determination in her heart. The spiritual energy pulsed gently in her body, like a ball of fire, igniting her unknown adventure. At the corner of the street, a black car drove slowly by, the eyes behind the car window flashing with cold light. They came to an old park. Ming Xian stopped and pointed at the map. Look at this rune, it points to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. That is the first clue point. Let's go explore it tonight. Meng Qi took a deep breath and nodded. Let's go. I'm not afraid. The night was dark, and the street lights in the park lengthened their shadows. Meng Qi followed Ming Xian, her steps brisk but cautious. The map was stuffed in her jacket pocket, glowing like a restless fire. Ming Xian led her around several secluded alleys, avoiding the main roads, and finally stopped in a secret corner, the back door of an old-style tea house entangled with vines. There was a faded signboard hanging at the door that read, Jingxin Zhai. It looked like an ordinary small shop, but when the door was opened, it was empty inside, with only a few wooden tables and a dim lamp. This is one of our sect's strongholds in the city, Ming Xian whispered, closing the door before turning to look at her. Be safe. The guys who were following you have temporarily gotten rid of them, but they will not give up easily. Sit down, and I will teach you the basics first, so that your bloodline awakening will not come back to bite you. Meng Qi nodded, pulled out a chair and sat down. The tea house was filled with a faint scent of sandalwood, which reminded her of her grandfather's study when she was a child. She took the map out of her pocket and spread it on the table. The runes flickered slightly under the light. The first rune looked like a twisted, mountain character, surrounded by fine lines. How do you understand this first floor? The abandoned factory it points to. No, wait, the map seems to be the ruins of an old building in the city center. Did you see it wrong in the park just now? Ming Xian came closer, his eyes focused. Yes, it's an old building. That place was our sect's retreat in the early years, but it is now abandoned. The runes are ancient spiritual inscriptions, and the first layer of mystery is the shadow-hidden gate. You have to inject spiritual energy to guide it to reveal clues. He stretched out his hand and pressed it on the back of her hand, feeling a steady warmth coming from his palm. First stabilize the blood vessels. After awakening, the spiritual energy will run wild, like a wild horse running wild. Take a deep breath, inhale from the dantian, and slowly push it to the meridians. Try it. Meng Qi closed her eyes and did as he said. At first, the spiritual energy was like naughty fish bumping around in her body, making her chest feel tight. But Mingxuan's voice was low and steady. Don't worry, guide it, like holding hands. Imagine a river flowing from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. Gradually, the warm current became obedient and formed a small circulation in her meridians. She opened her eyes, feeling much lighter all over her body, and even her vision became clearer. Wow, this. I feel like I can run a marathon. Senior brother, this knowledge of cultivating immortals sounds like a qigong class, but it really works. The corners of Mingxuan's mouth rose slightly, and he smiled for the first time. Qigong is the mortal version of spiritual energy cultivation. Our sect has been inherited for thousands of years, and spiritual energy comes from the origin of heaven and earth. The basic knowledge is 3 points: sensing energy, luck, and gathering energy. You are sensing energy now. At this stage, luck is still unfamiliar. Remember, cultivating immortality is not about being cool, but about protecting balance. The city is full of electromagnetic waves and pollution, and the spiritual energy is thin. He pointed to the map. Now, try the first rune. Meng Qi took a deep breath and pushed the warmth to her fingertips. The runes lit up, the lines spread like water waves, and a blurry image appeared in the sky, a dilapidated high-rise building, with the remains of Yong'an building engraved on the door, and the surrounding neon lights flashed, but the contrast was sharp. Found it. The old building in the city center, not far from here. She said excitedly, but there was a sense of uneasiness in her heart. This power is so novel, like a double-edged sword. What if it goes out of control? Just as he was talking, there were slight footsteps outside the tea-house door. Ming Xian stood up alertly. Someone is coming. Hide the map. As soon as Meng Qi stuffed it back into her pocket, the door was pushed open. Yutong came in, panting, with messy hair, and still holding a mobile phone in her hand. Qi. Where did you go? I followed you out of the mall and saw you walking in the alley with this handsome guy. I was worried. What if you were abducted? Meng Qi was stunned and quickly pulled her in and closed the door. Yutong? Why are you following me? Didn't I tell you to go home? Yutong's eyes widened and he looked around. Go home? Are you kidding me? I saw the light. You were in the corner of the mall from the elevator just now. It was flashing like a special effect. Then you go with this person. I called you but didn't answer the phone. I was afraid that something would happen to you, so I chased you. What kind of black shop is this place? Qi, are you okay? She leaned closer to Meng Qi and whispered, this guy looks like a gangster, but he is handsome. Tell me, has he been tricked? Ming Xian frowned and said nothing. He just nodded and told Meng Qi to deal with it. Meng Qi pulled Yutong to sit down and explained in a low voice, it's not what you think. Yutong, this map, it awakened some bloodline in me. Ming Xian helped me. He said there is a sect of cultivating immortals hidden in the city. It sounds ridiculous, but I really felt the power just now. Don't be afraid, listen to me first. Yutong stared at her, dubious. Cultivation of immortals. Qi, you are under too much pressure at work, are you hallucinating? We are urban girls, and cultivating immortals is in novels. Where are the people chasing you? What if they are really bad guys, and you just run with strangers like this? Think about your parents, they will go crazy if they know that you don't come home in the middle of the night. Her tone was worried, and her eyes were red, like a big sister scolding her younger sister. These words touched the soft spot in Meng Qi's heart. She was originally an ordinary white-collar worker, but now everything was too sudden, and the perspective of her family and friends made her shaken. The spiritual energy in her body trembled slightly, and she thought in a monologue, can I really do it? What if Yutong is harmed? Yutong, I know it sounds crazy. But I feel a change. This is not an illusion. Meng Qi squeezed her hand and tried to be firm, you go home first and I guarantee your safety. I will explain it clearly tomorrow, okay? Yutong sighed and shook his head, okay, but you swear. If you need anything, call immediately and I'll drive to pick you up. Before she turned and left, she glared at Ming Xian, handsome guy, if you bully my sisters, I'll call the police and arrest you. After the door closed, Meng Qi rubbed her brows, she's always like this, caring makes you confused. But she's right, I have to be careful. This awakening of my bloodline feels like I'm carrying a burden. Ming Xian nodded, the mortal perspective is a reminder. Let's go to the old building. Time is running out. They left the tea house and went into the night. The old building in the city center is hidden in the cracks of high-rise buildings, with a mottled appearance. There is a chain at the door, but Ming Xian pushed it lightly and the lock broke, a little trick from Reiki, he explained. The air inside was damp and their footsteps echoed in the stairwell. Meng Qi followed behind, her heart beating faster, and spiritual energy circulating in her body, making her steps light. Climbing to the third floor, the door of a dilapidated room was ajar, with old newspapers and dust scattered inside. Meng Qi took out the map and injected spiritual energy into it. The runes brightened, and light and shadow appeared on the wall. An ancient scroll showed the scene of the sect's founder building a foundation, with several shadowy enemies surrounding it. This is the history of the sect? Meng Qi exclaimed, look, this clip says that the ruins contain the sky-profound pearl, which can improve one's cultivation, but was stolen by a traitor, causing the sect to split. Conspiracy? Who is the traitor? Mingxuan's eyes darkened. Yes, the clues have been solved on the first level. The Tianxian pearl is the key, but the traitor's bloodline may still be there, attracting other immortal cultivators. Be careful dash. Before he could finish his words, a cold laugh came from the corner of the room. Two figures emerged from the shadows, one tall and one short, wearing gray robes, with green eyes shining. Little girl, give us the map. It's time for the sect's secrets to be exposed. The tall man said, condensing green spiritual energy in his hand, shooting out like a poisonous snake. Meng Qi's heart tightened as she faced an enemy for the first time. The short man rushed towards Mingxian, but Mingxian stepped forward to block it and swung out a palm. His spiritual energy turned into air waves, knocking the opponent back. Protect yourself, he shouted. The green light went straight towards Meng Qi. She instinctively retreated, but her spiritual energy surged up automatically. She remembered Mingxuan's teachings and pushed forward with both hands. Luck, gather energy. A blue barrier formed in front of her, and green light hit it, making a sizzling sound, and half of it was dissolved. It's done. Meng Qi gasped. Although the barrier was thin, it blocked the attack. She felt that her spiritual energy was depleted, but her body was more stable. This was proof of her growth, from panic to active defense. The tall man snorted, newly awakened. Interesting. He attacked again, but Mingxian had already dealt with the short man, joined the battle circle, and kicked the opponent away. Seeing that the situation was not good, the two enemies said, the sect is about to be exposed, and fled into the night. Meng Qi sat down against the wall and wiped her sweat. Who are they? Small cultivator enemies? They feel like casual cultivators. Mingxian nodded and checked the map. It may be the remnants of the traitors, or other sect temptations. The pressure of exposure has increased, and those government agents may have noticed something unusual. There were car lights flashing outside the building just now. He pointed to the newly revealed runes on the map. The second layer points to the ruins in the suburbs, but this historical fragment confirms that the conspiracy is not only about treasures, but also internal betrayal. We need to speed up. Meng Qi stood up and clenched her fists. The spiritual energy in her body was as gentle as an old friend. She looked at the faint sound of police sirens outside the window and felt tenacity in her heart. Brother, I have initially grasped it. We can't let them succeed. Where to go next? Mingxian glanced at her, with approval flashing in his eyes. Outskirts. But leave first, it's not safe here. They slipped out of the old building, the night wind blew, and Meng Qi felt that she had changed, no longer the shrinking white-collar worker, but a guardian who had just entered the path of cultivating immortality. In the distance, a black car followed quietly. The agent in the car whispered, abnormal energy fluctuations, lock the target. The night breeze mixed with the neon smell of the city blew away the dust around the old building. Meng Qi and Mingxian walked quickly through the alley, their footsteps ringing softly on the cement floor, as fast as their heartbeats. She glanced behind her. The headlights of the black car flashed in the distance and disappeared into the traffic. Brother, that car belongs to the government, right? How did they know? Mingxian did not stop, and his voice was low. Energy fluctuations. They have special monitoring equipment to keep an eye on anomalies. The sect has lived in seclusion for thousands of years to avoid these. Let's go, don't let them follow. Let's go to the abandoned factory on the edge of the city, where the second layer of runes points. The entrance clues to the suburban ruins are hidden there. He led her into a dark alley, summoning a trace of spiritual energy to turn into mist, covering the traces. Meng Qi followed, the spiritual energy in her body still pulsing slightly, like the afterglow of a run, making her both excited and slightly depressed. They took the last subway and headed to the outskirts of the city. The abandoned factory stands in the grass, the iron fence is rusty and slanted, and the air is filled with the smell of engine oil and mold. The moonlight shines, and the broken walls of the factory cast long shadows, like guarding ghosts. Meng Qi pushed open a side door, and inside was a spacious factory building. The remains of machines were scattered on the ground, and discarded iron barrels were piled in the corners. This was once a mortal factory, and the sect used it as a cover. The second layer of runes is the dusty lock, which requires a more stable injection of spiritual energy. Your bloodline has just awakened, so don't be brave. Meng Qi nodded and took out the map from her pocket. The runes glowed slightly in the moonlight, and the second one looked like a winding lock with more complicated lines around it. She tried to inject spiritual energy, but it didn't go smoothly this time. As soon as the warm current reached her fingertips, it bounced back into her body like a countercurrent, making her chest feel tight and her eyesight turn black. Ouch! She covered her heart and knelt on the ground, her spiritual energy burning like a random electric current, burning her meridians. The blood backlash came, more violently than expected. She gritted her teeth and thought, this power was supposed to be a boost, but why did it become a mole? Meng Qi squatted down and put his palm on her back, sending a cool spiritual energy, slowly calming the turbulence. Stay steady. After awakening, your bloodline will test you, just like a master testing his apprentice. Take a deep breath and pull back from the dantian. His voice was steady, like a big brother comforting you. Remember, cultivating immortals is not about getting rich overnight. The first rule of our sect's seclusion is to keep a low profile and keep secrets. Mortals in the city think that we are legends, but if we are exposed, it is no longer a game. The government has special forces, other sects will grab resources, and even casual cultivators want a share of the pie. The responsibility on your shoulders is not only to understand the map, but to protect the balance, let the spiritual energy flow in the dark and not disturb the world. Meng Qi panted and gradually recovered. Ling Qi became more obedient, and she opened her eyes to look at him. Brother, have you been like this since you were a child? It feels like you are carrying a mountain. Those rules sound like the sect's commandments in martial arts novels. But I understand, exposure will not only harm the sect, but also implicate innocent people, like Yutong and the others. She stood up, wiped her sweat, and felt a warmth in her heart. This backlash was like a lesson, making her become more cautious from a novice. As he was talking, his phone vibrated. Meng Qi took a look and saw that it was Yutong's message. Qi, where are you? On my way home just now, I always felt someone was watching me. Those people won't come to the door, right? Send me your location and I'll help. Meng Qi hesitated and replied, abandoned factory in the suburbs, don't come, it's dangerous. But Yutong replied in seconds, nonsense, I'm driving. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Does your map have runes? Send me a photo and I'll try the hacking software to decode it. I helped you crack the exam system back then. What does this mean? Meng Qi smiled helplessly and said to Meng Qi, she is my best friend, and the worldly resources may be useful. Meng Qi frowned, but nodded. It is risky for mortals to help, but friendship is the backbone of spiritual energy. Be careful. Not long after, a car stopped outside the factory, and Yutong rushed in with a backpack on his back, a coat on his body, and his hair was messed up by the wind. Qi. Are you crazy? What are you doing here in the middle of the night? It looks like a horror movie. She looked around, caught a glimpse of Meng Qi, and blushed. The handsome guy is here too. Okay, I'm half convinced about the cultivator you said. But if there is a treasure, I'll join in the fun. Where's the map? Show it to me quickly. Meng Qi handed over the map, and Yutong took it, frowning and staring at the runes. These lines look like ancient codes. I'll scan them with my phone and run a decoding program. Wait. She opened her laptop, took out a small device from her backpack, and connected it to the map projection. On the screen, the runes were digitized and the lines turned into algorithm diagrams. Look, the structure of the word lock is like an encrypted lock. Inject energy. Then you try, I will record the fluctuations simultaneously. Meng Qi injected the remaining spiritual energy as instructed, the runes lit up, Yutong's program captured the signal, and a hidden pattern popped up on the screen, an underground passage, pointing to the deeper entrance to the suburban ruins, marked Tianxian Gate. It's done. The entrance is underground in the factory, through the old drainage channel. Yutong clapped her hands excitedly, Chi-Chi, your blood is so awesome. But why do you look so bad? Did you feel sore just now? She handed over a bottle of water, her eyes full of worry, like when she was helping Meng Qi stay up late to review in college. Meng Qi held her hand, thank you, Yutong. Without you, I'm still stuck on the first step. Combined with secular skills and spiritual energy, I feel invincible. Mingxian nodded at the side, the mortal perspective makes up for our blind spots. Let's go down and explore. They pried open the iron cover under the factory floor and went down the wet drainage channel. It was pitch dark inside. Yutong used her mobile phone light to illuminate the road and complained, this place smells like a sewer. Chi-Chi, your parents are so angry when they know you explored in the middle of the night. Meng Qi smiled, don't mention it, they thought I was working overtime. At the end of the passage was a small room with dust-covered runes carved on the wall. Meng Qi and Ming Xian teamed up to inject spiritual energy, and light and shadow appeared on the wall, the blueprint of the entrance to the ruins, hidden in the mountains on the outskirts of the city. But next to the blueprint, a dilapidated diary fell out, with the sect's mark engraved on the cover. Ming Xian picked it up and opened the yellowed page, frowning, this is the record of the ancestor. Listen, the Tianxian pearl was stolen not by external enemies, but by internal ghosts. The awakening of the traitor's bloodline will cause disaster. The day it is exposed, the sect will fall. He read in a low voice, with a chill in his voice. Meng Qi's heart sank, internal traitors? Those casual cultivators, maybe they are descendants. Senior brother, this conspiracy is much deeper than the treasure. Yutong leaned closer and said, wow, it's like a spy novel. But Chi-Chi, you have to be careful, what if someone in the sect betrays you? Her words hit home, adding a hint of vigilance to Meng Qi's tenacity. Growing up is not just about getting stronger, but also learning to be suspicious. As soon as he finished speaking, footsteps came from outside the passage. Ming Xian was alert, here they come. Loose cultivators, a group of treasure hunters. 3 figures broke in. Green light flashed in the eyes of the strong man in the lead, and he held a short spiritual blade in his hand. We heard about the map clues. Little girl, hand it over. The sect's secrets should have been exposed long ago, so that mortals can see how to cultivate immortals. They pounced on them, and their spiritual energy turned into wind blades and went straight towards the 3 of them. Mingxian stood in front and swung out a palm. The air wave knocked the strong man back off. This is not something you can touch. But another thin man walked around and shot a green light towards Yutong. Meng Qi's heart tightened, and the backlash pain was still there, but she couldn't let anything happen to her best friend. Yutong, hide behind me. She took a deep breath, and the spiritual energy surged in her body. She didn't run around this time, the backlash made her better at controlling it. She clasped her hands together and shouted, gather your energy into a shield, expand it. The blue barrier not only blocked it, but also reflected the green light. The thin man was knocked away and hit the wall. Chi-Chi, your move is so cool. Yutong exclaimed, throwing a flash bomb from behind, the toy, in her backpack. The dazzling white light temporarily blinded the 3rd enemy. Ming Xian took the opportunity to punch, and his spiritual energy was like a tornado, knocking the strong man down. New trick. The bloodline has improved. He shouted. Meng Qi nodded, feeling the warm flow in her body smoother, and after the backlash, it felt like steel had been smelted. She rushed forward, imitating Mingxuan's example, and pointed out, luck turns into an arrow. The spiritual energy condensed into a blue arrow and hit the thin man's shoulder. The other person screamed and backed away. The battle ended quickly. Seeing that the situation was not going well, the three of them fled with the words, "The traitors will find you." Meng Qi gasped and leaned against the wall, sweat dripping from her eyes, but her eyes were shining. "Brother, I blocked it. It's not luck, it's growth." Ming Xian patted her shoulder. "Well, from defense to offense, you have become tougher. But the traitor clues in the diary mean internal and external troubles. We have the entrance blueprint in hand, and we have to seal the ruins before it is exposed." Yutong put away the laptop and wiped his forehead. "It's been a crazy night. Chi-Chi, promise me not to carry it alone again. Tomorrow I will help you check the traces of those casual cultivators, and use all the hacker resources." Meng Qi hugged her. "Thank you, sister. With you, this road is not lonely." They climbed out of the passage. It was already dark, and there was the faint sound of cars approaching outside the factory. Ming Xian whispered, "The agents are close. Let's go to another stronghold of the sect and plan the next step." Meng Qi held the map tightly, and the tenacity in her heart flowed like spiritual energy, pointing to the depths of the unknown mountains. The three of them ran out of the abandoned factory. The night was dark, and the sound of cars in the distance was getting closer and closer, like the low roar of a hound. Ming Xian pulled Meng Qi and Yutong, and with a gentle flick of spiritual energy, they were wrapped in a thin mist, making their figures blurred in the darkness. "Quickly, follow the path around to the subway station. The agent's car has a tracker, so we can't run in a straight line," he whispered, with steady steps, and led the two of them into the bushes on the side of the road. Meng Qi's heart beat like a drum and she held the map tightly, the lines on the blueprint still flashing in her mind. The underground passage pointed to the mountains, but now, the third layer of runes began to heat up, as if urging, "Brother, the map is getting hot." The third rune is a hidden character, pointing to the subway line in the city center. "It's not a mountain, but a closer entrance?" she asked breathlessly, the spiritual energy in her body still boiling in the residual heat after the battle, making her legs weak but excited. Yutong followed behind, holding on to her cell phone and typing on the keyboard as she ran. "Chi-Chi, I just hacked into the traffic surveillance and deleted the records near the factory. Those agents thought we had evaporated. But they had a backup system, and I could only delay it for half an hour. Get in my car quickly," and I drove to the subway station and parked in an inconspicuous corner. She tossed her hair, with a hacker's pride in her voice, like the embarrassing scene when she helped Meng Qi escape the final exam in college. The car was speeding on the night road. Yutong glanced at the rearview mirror while driving. "There is no tail behind. Chi-Chi, your aura shield is so cool. But don't be brave next time, my heart will almost jump out." Meng Qi leaned on the seat, smiled and shook her hand. "Thanks, Yutong. You don't believe in cultivating immortals, but you are braver than me." Yutong snorted. "Sister Shuxian, I'm glad you've become stronger." "You're kidding me, please, teach me how to use spiritual energy to open a lock." Ming Xian sat in the back seat and nodded. "Mortal technology is a good helper. When a sect lives in seclusion, it means learning how to use it." The hidden symbol on the map points to the small ruins under the subway, that is the trial ground of the ancestors, used to train new bloodlines. Before entering, you have to stabilize your spiritual energy, otherwise the mechanism will backfire even more severely. He turned to Meng Qi, his eyes serious but gentle. "Fighting will make you progress, but you are still one step away from reaching the level of success. Close your eyes, listen to me, and pull the qi from your dantian around the meridians 3 times, as slowly as practicing yoga." When they arrived at the subway station, they abandoned the car and walked, blending in with the last passengers late at night. Yutong pretended that the three of them were office workers returning home at night, and sent messages to her informants, a group of hacker friends while walking, spreading false news that the factory explosion was a chemical leak, to divert the attention of the police. "I'll help you cover your tracks in exchange for some stories. Is the traitor in the diary like a palace drama?" she asked in a low voice, bringing the slightest comfort and making Meng Qi less nervous. They slipped into the subway tunnel. The platform was empty except for the echoing sound of the wind. Meng Qi took the lead and walked along the track for a while, stopping in front of an old maintenance port. The map runes lit up, and cracks appeared faintly on the wall. Here. Meng Qi, inject spiritual energy. She did as she was told, and the warmth in her body became much smoother. The baptism of battle made her better at controlling it. She sat down cross-legged. Meng Qi sat cross-legged across from him, palms facing each other. Imagine aura like water, disappearing into the neon lights of the city. The first form of concealment, qi melting into dust. Don't resist, use the noise of mortals to hide. Meng Qi closed her eyes, and spiritual energy rose from her dantian. This time it didn't flow around, but circled around like a stream. She felt that the surrounding atmosphere, the roar of the subway and the distant car horn, all became cover. A flash occurred in my heart. It turns out that cultivating immortality is not about isolation, but about adapting to this reinforced concrete jungle. A little inspiration. She opened her eyes and said excitedly, "Brother, it's done. It feels like an invisibility cloak, and the breath in the body is stable." Meng Qi smiled, "We have a tacit understanding. When we go in, your concealment can avoid the detection of the agency." The crack widened, revealing a downward slope. Humid air hit the face, mixed with the smell of ancient stone. They slid down and entered the small ruins, a circular stone chamber with runes carved on the walls and a stone platform in the center. There was a jade pendant floating on the platform, emitting blue light. The first treasure, the hidden spirit pendant, which can enhance concealment and is a weapon for keeping secrets of the sect. Meng Qi whispered, "But there are many traps. Look, there are 9 palaces around the stone platform. If you make a wrong step, you will trigger a trap." Yutong scanned it with her mobile phone. "It's like Sudoku. The lines correspond to numbers, I'll do the math." She quickly entered the program and projected the path. Start from the upper left, skip the middle grid, and go straight to the southeast. Meng Qi cooperated with Meng Qi. "Senior brother, the aura on the left side is chaotic, avoid it." She shouted. The concealment technique made her senses sharp. Meng Qi nodded and slapped open the obstructing stone door with one palm. "Good cooperation. You grow up quickly and have the hidden instinct to adapt to the city." They worked step by step, with Yutong behind, controlling a small drone, a small tool in her backpack to detect air fluctuations. "Be careful, there is a pressure plate on the right wall." The drone buzzed past, triggering a gust of wind blades. Meng Qi's barrier blocked it, and the blue light flashed. "Yutong, your toy helps." Meng Qi shouted with a smile, her emotions welling up like a warm current. Her best friend's worldly wisdom made up for her blind spot in cultivating immortality. Finally, the stone platform was in sight. Meng Qi stretched out her hand, and the jade pendant fell into her palm. Spiritual energy instantly poured into her body, making her stealth skills more proficient. She felt a surge of power, but hesitated. "This treasure. Yutong, you have helped so much, do you want to share it with you? It can protect you, in case the agents find you." Yutong shook his head, his eyes firm. "Fool, what I want is your safety, not the elixir. Cultivation is your path, and I stick to reality. Share. Leave it to the sect, listen to the handsome guy." Just as Meng Qi was about to speak, the stone room suddenly shook. "Take off the jade pendant and trigger the mechanism." A red light bloomed on the wall, and the alarm echoed like a deep dragon's roar. "Intruder. The sect's treasure is exposed." The sound wave came out, and there was a faint movement outside the ruins. External forces were attracted, and footsteps were chaotic on the subway track. "Damn it, the alarm is connected to the external network. Casual cultivators and agents will come." Meng Qi cursed and pulled the 2 of them away. They rushed off the slope, wrapped in invisibility, and blended into the subway crowd. But Meng Qi's heart sank. Moral choices made her more mature. Treasures are not private possessions, but responsibilities. Suddenly, Mingxuan's mobile phone, the sect's spiritual communication device, vibrated, and a message came into his head: the Elder's order, the map leak has been investigated, and the traitor's bloodline is in danger. Meng Qi, return to the sect immediately to report your orders. The internal investigation has been started, foreign enemies are approaching, do not walk alone. Mingxuan's face was ashen, the turning point is here. The elders of the sect are tracking us, suspecting an insider. The pressure is high, internal and external attacks. When Yutong heard this, she bit her lip and said, Chi, the elder doesn't believe you? Then let's prove it. My hacker network can check the IP of casual cultivators and hold back the agents. You stay invisible first and I will cover you. She hugged Meng Qi and her voice was trembling but warm. Don't be afraid, sisters, you can carry it. You can hold on. Meng Qi nodded, her aura like a shield, and her growth trajectory flashed under the pressure. Brother, let's go to the hiding place in the city center to practice the concealment technique. This city is our labyrinth, we need to explain it clearly. They got out of the subway, the night wind blew, and the jade pendant warmed slightly in Meng Qi's arms. In the distance, police sirens sounded, and the scent of casual cultivators was faintly approaching. Mingxian led the way. Next step, solve the fourth rune. The traitor has a deep conspiracy, and the treasure is the key. But for now, let's get rid of the tail. Meng Qi followed, walking more steadily, hiding in the neon light, the tenacity in her heart spreading quietly like spiritual energy. The night wind mixed with the broken light of neon. Meng Qi and the three of them got into a back alley. Mingxian explored the way in front, and their stealth skills allowed them to blend into the shadows in the corner like shadows. The sound of police sirens was hovering not far away, and the aura of casual cultivators was like an invisible net, trying to draw them in, but they had already bypassed 2 streets. Yutong's fake news worked. A hacker friend spread rumors of an explosion caused by a subway malfunction on the internet, turning the agent's attention to the falsehood. Get rid of it, Mingxian whispered, turning to look at Meng Qi. Your concealment skills have helped a lot. The noise of the city is a natural barrier. Let's go back to the apartment and be safe. Meng Qi nodded. The Yinling pendant in her arms was still slightly hot, reminding her of the weight of responsibility like her heartbeat. They ordered an online ride-hailing service, and Yutong paid with a small number to avoid being tracked. The car was speeding on the viaduct, and outside the window was the brightly lit city center, with tall buildings standing like giant beasts. Yutong came over from the back seat and lowered his voice. Chi, the elder suspect's a traitor. Couldn't the traitor in the diary be a living person? It sounds like a palace scheming in a costume drama. I have to help you check the sect's online traces. Although cultivators do not use the internet, there are always loopholes in casual cultivators. Thanks, Yutong. But don't take too many risks. Meng Qi squeezed her hand. After the spiritual energy in her body became smaller, her senses became more sensitive. She felt a strange airflow outside the car, but it quickly dissipated. Mingxian leaned on his seat, closed his eyes and rested his mind. The secrets of the sect cannot be broken by technology. But your hacker network is a good supplement. Meng Qi, combine the jade pendant with the map and go back to analyze. It's time to solve the fourth rune. The apartment building appeared in the field of vision. The old residential building was Meng Qi's hiding place. Yutong's home was also nearby. The three of them entered in a low-key manner to avoid elevator surveillance. After entering Meng Qi's single room, as soon as the door was closed, Yutong immediately closed the curtains and turned on a small jammer to block the signal. It's safe. Come on, Chi, take out the map. My scanner can project runes and calculate paths. She took out the device from her backpack, projected blue light on the coffee table, unfolded the map, and placed the hidden spirit pendant next to it. The two resonated, and the runes flickered as if they were alive. Meng Qi sat cross-legged, spiritual energy slowly poured into the jade pendant from her dantian, and blue light spread along the lines of the map. The third rune, hidden, has been solved, and the fourth one has emerged, a twisted word, show, pointing to the underground of an abandoned shopping mall in the city center. Brother, look here, she pointed at the projection. It's not the entrance to the mountain, it's the core ruins of the sect. There is an ancient formation under the shopping mall, which is connected to the main source of spiritual energy. The risk of exposure. If agents or casual cultivators dig it out, the balance of the sect will be completely destroyed. After the map was leaked, there has been a small ruins alarm, and outside forces are focusing on it. Meng Qi came closer, his eyes steady. Yes, the core ruins hide the secret formation of the ancestor. Once destroyed, the spiritual energy will leak out, mortals will notice abnormalities, and the government will intervene, and the world of immortals will have to hide again or fight. Meng Qi, your awakening of the bloodline should have been the new hope of the sect, but the map fell into your hands, like a joke of fate. He paused, showing a rare hint of exhaustion, and sat opposite her. Actually, 10 years ago, when my master taught me the first form of Reiki, I was an impulsive kid who almost caused chaos in the city. The mission of the sect is not to hide, but to blend into the world and use your strength to resolve crises. Like tonight, your concealment has melted into the neon lights of the city. You have grown up quickly and reminded me of myself back then. Responsibility makes people restrained, but also stronger. Meng Qi felt warm in her heart as she listened. Senior brother's sharing is like a bridge, shortening the distance. She said softly, Senior brother, you are always as stable as a mountain, I envy you. I used to be a white-collar worker, chasing deadlines, but now Reiki allows me to see a bigger world. But the pressure is also great, and the elders suspect the insider, and I am afraid of dragging you down. Meng Qi patted her shoulder, and a trace of healing came from his palm. Master and disciple are complementary. Your tenacity is the new blood, and my experience is the old shield. Come and try to strengthen the jade pendant. Enter the pendant and circle the word show 3 times. While they were concentrating, there was a sudden knock on the door, as fast as rain. Yutong turned off the projection alertly and leaned into the cat's eye. 2 guys in black clothes, wearing masks, with something like a syringe in their hands. They are not agents, their aura, weird. Meng Qi stood up and took a look. Rose Cultivator. No, it's a mysterious organization, the Shadow Alliance, which specializes in hunting for the secret treasure of cultivating immortals. They are eyeing the map. Before he finished speaking, the door lock clicked, and someone pried the door open. Run! Meng Qi pulled Meng Qi up, Yutong grabbed his backpack, and the 3 of them rushed out of the fire escape. Downstairs, a black SUV had blocked the exit. 2 strong men rushed towards it, the charms in their hands flashing dark red. Hand over the map, or your mortal friends will die first, the leader roared, his voice like metal friction. Meng Qi's heart tightened. How did they know Yutong? It turns out that the hacking operation just now left a tail, and the Shadow League has an insider. A melee broke out, and Meng Qi shot out a spiritual arrow, forcing one person to retreat, but the other one went straight towards Yutong. She screamed but did not retreat. She threw the drone and hit the opponent's eyes. Get away. You antique players, try touching my sister. The strong man grabbed her arm and stabbed the syringe into her neck. It was a spirit-sealing agent that could temporarily paralyze mortals. Yutong struggled and kicked the opponent's knee. Chi, run. My car keys are in my bag, and the red SUV is at the alley. Meng Qi's mind was buzzing that her senior brother was entangled with another person and she couldn't leave Yutong behind. An inner flash, this is the first time to perform it independently. The hidden spirit pendant became hot. She took a deep breath, and the spiritual energy surged from her dantian. It was strengthened by the jade pendant and turned into an invisible mist arrow, shooting directly at the kidnapper's wrist. The light of the arrow was hidden in the night. The strong man groaned, his arm was numb, and the syringe fell to the ground. Yutong took the opportunity to escape and pounced on Meng Qi. Quick, get in the car. I'll drive and throw them away. The engine of the red SUV roared, Yutong stepped on the accelerator, and the car shot out of the alley like an arrow. In the rearview mirror, a man in black jumped on the SUV and chased him, and the bullet grazed the rear of the car. These lunatics use guns. Yutong cursed and turned into a small road, showing off the courage of drag racing in college. Qi, tell me how to fight back. Can your spiritual energy stop bullets? Meng Qi leaned out of the back seat and injected spiritual energy into the car window, forming a thin barrier to block a shot. Confidence came like a tide, she performed independently, her cultivation level jumped, her level of attainment was stable, she felt that her meridians were widening, and her aura was as strong as her arms. Ming Xian was in the passenger seat and said while healing his arm, turn right and enter the business district. There are so many people that they don't dare to mess around. Meng Qi, good job. That fog arrow is the advanced version of the Yinling pendant. Your growth is beyond expectations. The chase unfolded in the neon lights. Yutong dodges flexibly and hacks into the traffic light system to create the illusion of a traffic jam and force the black car to slow down. Sister, thank you for saving me, she shouted, with a spark of bravery in her voice. From worry to initiative, her mortal perspective made her more involved in this adventure. Finally, in an underground parking lot, Yutong braked suddenly and the car slid into the shadows. The black car approached, the leading man got out of the car, and pointed his gun at it. Little girl, where is the map? The core ruins that the Shadow League wants are not something you can guard. The secret of the ancient rebellion has been hidden by the sect for too long. The traitor's bloodline should have reappeared and subverted the balance. He sneered, with a flash of fanaticism in his eyes. In the ancestors' era, internal traitors stole the spiritual blood, causing the sect to split. The map is the key, we want to revive the old master. Hand it over and spare you. Meng Qi was shocked. Rebellion in ancient times? The diary only scratches the surface, and the conspiracy is as deep as an abyss. Her spiritual energy surged, and she jumped out of the car door independently, using all her stealth skills. She approached the strong man like a ghost, and hit him directly on the shoulder with a missed arrow. Tell me. Who is the traitor? The details of the betrayal. The strong man groaned in pain, dropped his gun, and confided, the elder knew it and suppressed it for thousands of years. The Shadow Alliance has evidence, and your bloodline is the key. Ming Xian and Yutong cooperated. Ming Xian sealed his meridians, and Yutong locked the handcuffs, her toy. The remaining gangsters saw the situation and retreated, and the parking lot returned to peace. Meng Qi gasped, the spiritual energy in her body was reborn, and her improvement in cultivation made her full of confidence. Brother, this turning point, an ancient rebellion involves my blood? The core ruins must be sealed quickly. Ming Xian nodded, with complex eyes. There are layers of conspiracies, and the internal investigation is more urgent. But you saved people independently and proved yourself. Yutong drove bravely and saved our lives. Yutong wiped her sweat and hugged Meng Qi with a smile. It's been a crazy night, but sisters are united. Rebellion sounds like a fantasy novel, but Qi, you have become a Superman. I will check the IP of the Shadow League and dig up their background. They drove out of the parking lot. In the night, the glyphs on the map glowed faintly, pointing to a deeper adventure. Meng Qi looked out the window. The lights on the tall buildings were like stars, and her inner tenacity quietly bloomed in the crisis. The car drove forward quietly in the night. Yutong held the steering wheel and glanced at the rearview mirror. After confirming that there was no tail, she breathed a sigh of relief. Qi, the craziness this night is like filming an action movie. Those people from the Shadow League sound eerie and ancient rebellion. Change? It sounds like the fairy tales I watched when I was a kid, but your bloodline is the key. Don't worry, my sisters will support you to the end. She glanced at Meng Qi, her tone full of concern, and her palms were sweaty from the shock just now, but her courageous energy did not dissipate. Meng Qi leaned on the back seat, and the heat from the Yinling Pei gradually subsided. She nodded and held the map tightly. Thank you, Yutong. You saved us by driving. I don't know what I would have done without you. The lights in the city are so bright, but there are all these messy things hidden. Senior brother, the characters on the glyph are glowing. Isn't it time to go to the ruins? We can't let the Shadow Alliance get there first. Ming Qian rubbed his brows in the front seat and said in a steady voice, yes, the core ruins are not only underground in the shopping mall, but the middle layer of the map points to the forest in the suburbs. It is the old site of the sect, with strong aura, but the secret guard is the most strict. The insider must be investigated. The traitor bloodline mentioned by the Shadow Alliance may be related to you. Yutong, can your technology help locate it? Avoid surveillance. Yutong smiled, took out the tablet from the center console, and typed the keys while driving. It's a joke. I hacked the traffic satellites and drew a secret route for you. There are old woods in the suburban forest, and the signal is weak, but my GPS can bypass the patrol. Qi, Yu Xiuxian, let me help you deal with reality. You still have to go to work tomorrow? Don't let the boss suspect that you are late. She teased, trying to lighten the atmosphere. The car turned into the ring road, and the neon lights faded away, replaced by dark street lights. Meng Qi felt warm after hearing this. Yutong always did this, pulling her back to the track of the mortal world. Well, it's a balance. You can't lose your job in cultivating immortals, otherwise how can you integrate into the city? Your support makes me feel that I am not alone. When the sky turned white, they arrived at the outskirts. The entrance to the forest is hidden behind a rest area along the highway, with a trail obscured by vines. Ming Qian got out of the car and checked his spiritual energy first. It's safe, the formation is still running. Meng Qi, Yupei will lead the way, let's go. Yutong parked the car and handed them 2 hot coffees. I'll caboose and monitor surrounding signals. I'll send a signal if there is any abnormal movement. You guys, be careful. Chi-Chi, remember you have to take a deep breath and don't be too pushy. She hugged Meng Qi with a firm look in her eyes. She recovered quickly from the shock last night. Her mortal perspective made her more grounded. Sisters, if you are a cultivator, don't forget our weekend milk tea date. A balanced life is the way to go. The 3 of them split up, and Meng Qi and Ming Qian walked into the forest. The air was suddenly fresh, mixed with a faint aura, like the bamboo forest after the rain. Under the resonance of the jade pendant, the map's guardian text lit up, guiding them around a bush of wild thorns to a hidden canyon. At the bottom of the canyon, a stone tablet is vaguely exposed under the vines, engraved with ancient runes. The middle-level mystery is here, Ming Qian whispered, spiritual energy injected into the stone tablet, and the runes slowly turned. The secret door requires bloodline verification. Meng Qi, your awakening bloodline is just right. Meng Qi took a deep breath, pricked her fingertips lightly, and blood dripped on the monument. Suddenly, the stone tablet buzzed, and a crack opened in the ground, revealing a downward passage. The spiritual energy inside filled the air like mist, and the history of the sect was embossed on the walls. The founder built an array, sealed something. She shook her head and focused on following Ming Qian. At the end of the passage is a cave with a jade box on the central stone platform, surrounded by 3 halos, a mystery. By cracking them, you can get the elixir, Ming Qian explained. The first ring, the phantom trace, which needs the concealment technique to break. The second ring, spiritual energy confrontation, fusion of blood. The third ring, the trial of guarding the heart, the shadow of the inner ghost will appear. As soon as they stepped in, the first ring started. The cave was twisted, and phantoms came towards them like ghosts. They looked like men in black from the Shadow Alliance, mixed with the faces of sect elders. Hand over the map. Phantom roared, and Meng Qi's heart tightened, but she held steady. Her hidden spirit pendant glowed, her concealment skills were fully activated, her figure merged into the mist, and she shot a fog arrow with her backhand. The phantom shattered, and Ming Qian nodded. Okay, second ring. The halo turned red, and the spiritual energy came like a tide. Meng Qi felt her blood boiling, that blood of ancient rebellion. A moment of hesitation flashed through her heart. Whose descendant am I? But the responsibility overwhelmed him, and spiritual energy surged from his dantian, fused with the hidden spirit pendant, and turned into a blood-red light shield to block the pressure. Ming Qian stood by and fired a series of spiritual energy arrows to break through the weak points. Hold on, your bloodline is awakening, and you are only one step away from being an intermediate cultivator. While it was being cracked, there was a strange movement outside the cave. Yutong's signal rang, the phone vibrated. Chi, it's broken. Some guys in Taoist robes came into the forest. They smell like you, but their eyes are sneaky. Traitors within. They have the sect's token. Meng Qi's heart sank. There's a ghost in the sect. Just as the third ring was opened, the heart show trial turned into a mirror, reflecting the true form of the traitor. Several figures flashed up, and they turned out to be senior disciples of the sect. The leader was named Xian Feng, a close confidant of the elders. Ming Qian, junior brother, are you protecting the newcomer? The map belongs to us. Only by exposing the sect and reviving the bloodline of the ancient rebel lord can we take power. Fighting breaks out. Ming Qian stood in front, using all his powerful force, and shot out a spiritual wind palm. The wave of energy forced the two of them back. Traitor. The sect has been secreted for thousands of years. You sold the sect for power. The elders have long suspected that you stole the diary. Boss, your bloodline is the key. In the patriarch's time, the traitors stole the spiritual veins and sealed the monsters. If we are exposed, we can release the power and subvert the mortal government. Meng Qi heard that her bloodline was like a fire, and she said in her heart for only a moment, we can't let disaster happen. She jumped up, integrated the power of her bloodline, and the spiritual mist arrow evolved into a blood mist sword, slashing at Xian Feng. Swords clashed, the cave trembled. Ming Qian escorted, and sealed a traitor's meridians with one palm. Meng Qi, left wing. Your growth is beyond imagination. Yutong heard the fighting outside and couldn't help but rush into the passage and throw out the drone to assist. Chi, hold on. I hacked their communications and sent a false alarm to nearby patrols. The drone buzzed and released interference waves, disrupting the traitor's formation. Meng Qi took advantage of the situation. Her bloodlines were completely integrated, her cultivation level broke through to the intermediate level, and her spiritual energy surged like a river. She forced Xian Feng back with a sword and asked, what is the monster? What will happen if it is exposed? Xian Feng gasped, eyes wild, the ancient monster is sealed in the core of the ruins. The founder suppressed it with spiritual veins, but the traitor wanted to release it and use magic power to rule the world of immortality. Unlocking the map can break the seal, but you have pure blood and can reseal it. The Shadow Alliance is ours to join forces and attack from inside and outside. The turn came violently. The third ring of mirror shattered, revealing the abyss crack behind the jade box. Black energy seeped out faintly, and the monster's roar was like the whisper of the inner demon. Meng Qi felt a mountain of pressure, and an atmosphere of suspense filled the cave. Once exposed and the monster escapes, the city will become a purgatory, and the government's investigation is just the beginning. Ming Qian kicked Xian Feng away, and locked him with spiritual energy. Tell me. How to break the seal? Xian Feng vomited blood and smiled. It's too late, the mystery in the middle level has been solved, and the evil energy has been released. The core ruins are under the mall, waiting for you to die. The traitor was subdued, but the black energy became stronger and stronger, indicating a greater crisis. Meng Qi gasped, stretched out her hand to open the jade box, and a crystal elixir jumped into her palm. Spiritual energy immediately poured into her meridians, and her intermediate level cultivation was stable. She gave one to Ming Qian, brother, this is a turning point. But the monster, we have to return to the city quickly and seal the core. Ming Qian nodded, his eyes alert, the inner ghost is exposed, and the sect must be liquidated. Yutong, thank you for your foreign aid. Yutong wiped away the sweat and hugged Meng Qi, sister, you have become stronger. But the monster sounds scary, like the ending of a horror movie. Come on, leave this ghost place, I will drive back to the city, and plan as I go. They dragged the traitor out of the cave, and the morning light of the forest shone, but the shadow of black air trailed behind them. Meng Qi looked at the outline of the city in the distance, and the tenacity in her heart deepened. The secret of her bloodline was like a mist, and the crisis had just begun. The car was speeding on the highway, and the morning light stretched the shadows of the trees. Yutong's driving was as steady as a veteran. She glanced at the rearview mirror to make sure no one was following her, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. Chi-Chi, the smell of the black air is still on the tip of her nose. It's like being in a ghost movie. Traitor. Tied up. Ming Xian, why are Xian Feng and the others so stupid that they sell their sect for power? No one in the city has any ambition, but this is too cruel. She said while speeding up, trying to dilute the tension just now. Meng Qi sat in the back seat, pressing her hands on Xian Feng, whose meridians were sealed by spiritual energy. The residual warmth of the spiritual elixir was still circulating in her meridians, allowing her intermediate cultivation to take root firmly. She nodded, with a calmer tone in her voice, tie it up tight. Senior brother's pulse sealing technique is so powerful that this guy can't move for the time being. Yutong, thank you for saving the scene with your drone, otherwise we would have been in trouble. After returning to the city, we have to deal with him first, torture. It's about the monsters. The core ruins are underground in the shopping mall. The Shadow Alliance and the Inner Ghosts have joined forces. We can't sit still and wait for death. There was only a moment in my heart, the secret of the bloodline is like a thorn, but now is not the time to get entangled, we must protect the overall situation first. Ming Xian turned around in the front seat, checked Xuanfeng's token, and frowned. Yes, let's go back to the secret spot of the sect first and interrogate the clues. The middle level of the map has been solved, and the Guardian text points to the transfer formation. There is an old formation in the city, in the underground parking lot of the high-rise business district. Activating it can directly reach the core ruins and avoid surveillance. But the insider knows that this place is very risky. Yutong, can you use your technology to help scan the surroundings? His tone was calm, but with praise for Meng Qi, you have grown up so quickly, and you can use it for self-defense. Yutong chuckled and danced with his fingers on the tablet. It's a piece of cake. I hacked into the security system of the business district and drew a heat map for you. The formation is activated. It sounds like a portal in a science fiction movie. Chi-Chi, you are cultivating immortals, I responsible for the mortal side, pretend that we are going shopping to hide from others. Sisters, remember not to be brave, if there are any agents or something, I will sound the alarm. She joked as the car turned into the city, and the familiar neon lights and high-rise buildings came towards her. After hearing this, Meng Qi's heart surged with warmth. Yutong could always use this optimism to bring them back to the track of reality. Okay, let's do it. Senior brother, where can I learn the formation knowledge? My spiritual energy has stabilized, and I feel like I can blend into the runes. They hid Xian Feng in the basement of Yutong's apartment and sealed it with a spiritual energy barrier to make it safe for the time being. In the afternoon, the three sneaked into the business district in a low-key manner. There were many high-rise buildings, crowds of people, and bustling cafes and boutiques. Ming Xian took the lead and led them around to the edge of the underground parking lot, behind an inconspicuous elevator shaft. Here, the old formation eye. Meng Qi, your blood resonates and is activated by injecting spiritual energy. Meng Qi nodded and put the hidden stone bricks on her palms. The spiritual energy seeped in like silk threads, the runes slowly lit up, the air twisted, and a blue light portal loomed. It's done. She whispered, feeling that her cultivation was more harmonious, and her bloodline seemed to be responding to the ancient call. Ming Xian took the opportunity to teach the basics of the formation. The spiritual energy circulates like water. The secret formation relies on the concealment talisman, and the illusion formation confuses the enemy. Imagine the spiritual energy weaving a web and creating an illusion. Try it and integrate it into the hidden spirit pendant. Meng Qi closed her eyes, the spiritual energy gushed out from her dantian, weaving an invisible net. The surrounding air fluctuated slightly, and a phantom appeared in front of her eyes. She turned into an ordinary office worker, walking by with shopping bags. Senior brother, it's done. It feels like wearing an invisibility cloak. Ming Qian nodded, with relief flashing in his eyes. Okay, let's practice again in actual combat. Yutong, let's set up a trap. Your drone will monitor, and I will set the bait with my aura to lure the traders. Yutong squatted down, controlled the tablet, and the drone flew up silently, scanning the dark corners of the parking lot. Ming Qian, your aura makes a fake map signal, and I add electromagnetic interference to make them think that the formation is fully activated. Teamwork, technology and immortality, a perfect match. Chi-Chi, go find the clues. Xianfeng the token has communication records to track the traders' movements. Sisters, don't let those traders ruin our weekend plans. Meng Qi smiled and held onto the jade pendant. Don't worry, I'll use illusion to keep in touch. Meng Qi sneaked into a high-rise business district, a glass-walled building alone, and the trader's clues pointed to the top-floor office area. Xuanfeng's communication records showed that there was a meeting point for the Shadow Alliance here. With her stealth skills activated, she blended into the crowd, like an ordinary white-collar worker, with direct access to the elevator. The floor was quiet, but there was faint spiritual energy fluctuation. She slipped into an empty office, placed her palm on the remains of an old mobile phone on the table, injected spiritual energy, and deciphered the remaining communication. The trader's message points to the elder. She murmured, her heart sinking, but she focused on tracking, weaving a web of illusion and hiding her figure. Suddenly, there was a movement downstairs. Yutong's signal sounded. Chi-Chi, it's broken. There are government agents coming in, wearing black uniforms and armed with guns. They saw the spiritual energy fluctuations in the formation and thought it was terrorists setting up bombs. Ming Qian is setting a trap. I'm sending a false alarm to buy time. You hurry up and hide. Meng Qi's heartbeat accelerated. Several figures were glimpsed through the window and rushed into the hall. The leading agent whispered, unknown energy source, suspected chemical device. Seal the area and capture the survivors. They misunderstood. The blue light activated by the formation was regarded as a sign of explosion, and the urban security helicopter was already hovering above. Meng Qi took a deep breath. It was time for actual combat. She jumped out of the window sill, activated her spiritual energy illusion, and weaved a large net. In front of the agent's eyes, the office area transformed into an ordinary conference room, and she herself became a young secretary, walking by with coffee in her hand. Sir, everything is fine on this floor. We are having a meeting. Are you here to check on the fire protection? Her voice was sweet and soft, blending into the tone of an urban white-collar worker. The invisible spirit pendant enhanced the illusion and filled the air with the fragrance of coffee. The lead agent frowned and raised his gun slightly. Miss, there was abnormal energy just now. Did you see anyone suspicious? There is a risk of chemical leakage in this building. Meng Qi's heart tightened. It cannot be exposed, it must be resolved. Ouch, maybe the air conditioner is broken, and my boss is still scolding me. Check the underground, there are always problems with the parking lot there. She backed away as she spoke, and her aura quietly guided them out of the office area. The agent hesitated, and the communicator rang. Captain, there is nothing abnormal underground, it may be a false alarm. Evacuate. They turned and went downstairs. Meng Qi breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that his cultivation was changing in actual combat. Illusions not only hide, but also control the field of vision, like a chameleon in the city. The joy of growing up welled up, but the crisis was still unresolved. She followed the clues to the top-floor darkroom and found a jade communication slip. Injecting spiritual energy, the jade slip lit up, and the trader's voice came out. Xianfeng missed it, but the mystery in the middle level has been solved. Elder, what you promised, after the monster is released, we will divide the spiritual veins. The Shadow Alliance is outside, and you are on the inside. The core ruins will be opened tonight. Meng Qi's eyes widened. Elder is involved in the case. The high-level members of the sect betrayed each other, and the suspense was tightened like a net. The inner monologue lasted only a moment. It turns out that there are more than just pawns, the roots are at the top. Now, the climax is coming, and I have to tell my senior brother quickly. She rushed downstairs, the illusion still active, avoiding the patrol. Downstairs, Ming Xian and Yutong have laid a trap, the drone releases interference smoke, and the aura bait simulation formation is fully activated. Two Shadow Alliance spies took the bait and broke into the parking lot. Ming Xian Lingfeng Palm came out and blocked them. Tell me. Who is the elder? The spies sneered, it's too late, the evil spirit has entered the city, and the government's intervention is just an appetizer. The elder's plan is to expose the sect, release the monsters, and rule everything. Yutong's drone took the evidence and sent it to Meng Qi. Qi, intercepted. There is an internal chaos. We must join forces with the elders to fight, no, expose him. Meng Qi arrived and reunited the three of them. The agents had withdrawn and the business district was back to bustling. But the message from the jade slip is like a bomb, and the suspense deepens. Mingshuan's eyes were solemn, the elder was involved in the case, and the foundation of the sect was shaken. Meng Qi, your illusion saved the day, now learn the formation method to seal the demonic energy. Yutong, monitor the elder's movements. We go straight to the core ruins, and clear out the inner ghosts before attacking from inside and outside. Yutong nodded and hugged Meng Qi. Sisters, this betrayal sounds chilling, but with us, we will never let monsters invade the city. Let's drive to the ruins, milk tea date, change it to a celebration after the battle. They slipped out of the business district, and the transfer formation was dimly visible. As night fell, under the city lights, the crisis was surging like an undercurrent. Meng Qi held the jade slip tightly, the pulse of her blood became stronger, and the team's tacit understanding made her firmly believe that protection begins with uncovering this layer of conspiracy. Night shrouded the city, with neon lights winding like a colorful river. Yutong's SUV quietly shuttled through the alleys, avoiding the main roads. She glanced at the rearview mirror to make sure she was not following, and then turned to Meng Qi and said, Qi, the content of that jade slip sounds like a palace drama, and the elder is actually the leader of the evil spirit? We have to quickly solve the last layer of the map, otherwise once the monsters are released, the urban area will become the scene of a disaster movie. Senior brother, your sect has been living in seclusion for so many years, how can it still produce such rotten peach blossoms? Meng Qi sat in the back seat, still holding the jade slip in her palm, and the spiritual energy was slightly injected, allowing the remaining images to reappear. The elder's voice was gloomy, mentioning, the core ruins, the seal of the warcraft is about to loosen. She took a deep breath and felt the spiritual energy in her dantian surge like a tide, and her blood veins became clearer and clearer. Yutong, please hold it steady. I'm now trying to decipher the final layer. Senior brother, this jade slip contains rune fragments, which match the map. She took out the ancient map and put it on her palm. Spiritual energy fell like a drizzle. The ink marks on the map floated slowly, converging into a hidden picture, an underground river winding at the foot of the city, leading directly to the entrance to the core ruins. Ming Xian nodded, his eyes solemn, it's done. The last level points to the underground river in the old city. It was the drainage system of the last century. It is now abandoned, but the spiritual energy is rich. The entrance is next to the abandoned factory. We guided us from the aftermath of the transfer array and went straight there. But the elders know the clues, and the casual cultivators and the Shadow Alliance are willing to. We must be laying in ambush. Yutong, you are using drones to monitor government movements. They have just withdrawn, and they are probably still raiding the surrounding area. He turned to Meng Qi, with a gentle tone in his voice, your spiritual energy injection is becoming more and more proficient, and you are about to break through the intermediate level. Remember, the formation is not about memorization, but the movement of your heart. Yutong chuckled and turned the car into a remote industrial area. The sound of the engine was as low as a whisper, understood. I will deploy a drone network, thermal imaging and aura sensors, the trick you taught me, integrating technology. Qi, be careful inside, don't let the devil. I'm so angry that I raised the alarm outside. Sisters, remember to come back and drink milk tea to celebrate the victory, with double pearls. She stopped the car and handed Meng Qi a small communicator. Click here to contact the city surveillance and cut off tracking at any time. Meng Qi smiled and held the communicator tightly. Don't worry, my senior brother and I will go in first to investigate. Yutong, you are our eyes. She felt spiritual energy rushing through her meridians, and the heat flow from the fusion of blood vessels made her vision sharper. The bottleneck of intermediate cultivation was loosened, like a door half opened. She and Mingxian got out of the car and sneaked into the abandoned factory. The smell of rust was strong, and the moonlight poured in through the broken window, illuminating a hidden wellhead. Mingxian pushed with his heart, and the manhole cover slid open silently, revealing a dark staircase that led directly to the underground river. Let's go, activate the illusion array and hide the traces. The two of them walked down the stairs. The air was damp and cold, and the gurgling sound of the river echoed. Meng Qi took the lead, and the hidden spirit pendant emitted a faint light, weaving into an illusory web, allowing them to follow them like shadows. The river is wide, the walls are engraved with ancient runes, and the aura is as thick as mist. She whispered, Senior brother, this place is like the dark side of the city. It is prosperous on the surface, but there are dragons and crouching tigers underneath. The map says that the entrance is at the bend of the river, and there is a protective formation. Mingxian followed, and his spiritual wind palm swiped to disperse the water mist. Yes, when the sect was founded, this river was a natural barrier. It is not easy to live in seclusion. We have suppressed our ambitions for generations to avoid being noticed by mortals. I remember when I was a child, my master taught me, cultivation of immortals is not for power, but for balance. Elders and others have forgotten their roots. Meng Qi felt warm in her heart and walked briskly. Brother, let's talk about the hardships of the sect. Listening to what you say, I understand better why we need to keep secrets. After awakening my bloodline, I always feel a weight on my shoulders, but with you, I am not afraid. The spiritual energy surged in her body. She stopped, closed her eyes and circulated her dantian. The breakthrough was coming. The spiritual energy breaks through the shackles like a torrent. The intermediate cultivation level jumps to the upper level. The mist of the blood mist sword becomes more solid, and the defensive barrier around the body is strengthened like a water curtain. There was only a moment in my heart. This power is not for myself, but for protection. Congratulations, Meng Qi. The upper level cultivation has purer spiritual energy. Mingxuan's eyes flashed with approval. The sect lives in seclusion and has built formations on the edge of the city since our ancestors. With the advancement of mortal technology, we have to keep a low profile and avoid radar and surveillance. Once, the government dug a tunnel Tao, we almost dug out the spiritual veins, and our disciples spent the whole night using illusions to mislead, pretending to be a construction accident. It was difficult, but worth it. Once the balance was broken, monsters were rampant, and the city was destroyed. His voice was low, and there was an emotional bond in his sharing, which brought the two of them closer to each other. The river turned, and the entrance loomed, a stone door with flashing runes. Meng Qi stepped forward, injected blood resonance, and the stone door suddenly opened, revealing a tunnel leading to the ruins. The spiritual energy hit his face, but it was mixed with a trace of devilish energy. Come in, she whispered, and leadership emerged naturally. Now, she was not a follower, but a decision-maker. In the tunnel, phantom torches lit up, and the walls were covered with murals. At the beginning of the sect's founding, the ancestors sealed monsters and built a balance formation. Meng Qi watched as she walked. Senior brother, this secret, it turns out that the sect is not born to live in seclusion, but to suppress this monster. Mingxian nodded. Yes, when it was founded, the ancestors discovered the underground demon veins, and releasing them would subvert the world of mortal cultivation. The traitors want to use this to turn themselves around. Suddenly, Yutong's urgent voice sounded from the communicator. Chi. It's broken, there's a lot of noise outside. 3 casual cultivators rushed to the factory with spiritual weapons, followed by government agents. They intercepted the demonic energy signal and thought it was a biological threat. The drone captured it, and the Shadow Alliance has also arrived, a 5-person team. Block the entrance, I'll delay, but you have to retreat quickly or fight back. Meng Qi's heartbeat quickened and she scanned the tunnel. Footsteps could be heard from behind, and the fluctuations of spiritual energy were mixed with the metallic smell of guns. Brother, the siege is coming. The casual cultivators and the government are joining forces? No, it's a coincidental attack. Yutong, send out electromagnetic pulses to disrupt their communications. Senior brother and I set up an ambush, using the illusion array to lure, and the blood mist sword to break the back. Her voice was firm, and she led a small-scale counterattack, proof of growth, from passive to active. Ming Xian understood, and Lingfeng Palm weaved a net to seal both ends of the tunnel. It's up to you. The casual cultivators will deal with it first, and the government will use illusions to mislead. They retreated to the stone gate, and Meng Qi activated the advanced magic to control the vision. The tunnel turned into a maze, and the casual cultivators rushed in, and there was a phantom of fake river water in front of them. Young man, how dare you break into the core, the leader of the cultivators roared, and the spiritual sword struck the air. Meng Qi jumped out, and the blood mist sword turned into a rain of arrows. The mist solidified and pierced the defense of the casual cultivators. Get away. This is not your game. She commanded while fighting. Brother, the one on the left uses spiritual energy arrows to seal the veins. I will cut off the right wing. Ming Xian nodded, and the spiritual arrows were like wind, sealing the meridians of the casual cultivators. Meng Qi's leadership is smooth, and the illusion turns, making the enemies kill each other. A casual cultivator mistakenly identifies as a companion, and their swords attack each other. Government agents follow up, and a figure in black holds a gun. Freeze. Unknown energy source, surrender. But under the control of illusion, their guns deflected and shot into the stone wall. Chi-Chi, hold on. I released smoke bombs outside, and the agents mistakenly thought there was a chemical leak and were retreating. Yutong's voice came, and the drone interference caused gunshots to ring out randomly. Meng Qi took a deep breath. The spiritual energy from her cultivation breakthrough surged, and strengthened the barrier to block the bullets. She waved the blood mist sword, and the fog arrow penetrated the shoulder of the last casual cultivator. Say. The elder sent you? The casual cultivator vomited blood and sneered. It's too late, deep in the ruins, the monster has awakened. The traitor plans to release it and overturn the balance. The secret of the sect's founding is on the altar. The blood oath of the ancestors cannot be suppressed. The suspenseful twist is like a lightning strike. Meng Qi rushes into the depths of the ruins, and in the center of the stone chamber, an altar reveals the full picture of the mural. The sect was founded, and it was not pure kindness. The ancestors used magic power to build the foundation, hiding the blood oath. If the monster is unsealed, the spiritual veins will backfire on the entire sect. The traitors know this and plan to release the monsters and use chaos to regain power. The government's exposure is just a cover. Senior brother, this sect has a dark history. The elder wants to destroy everything. She muttered, demonic energy seeping from the cracks in the altar, and the black shadow squirmed. Mingshuan's face was livid. The secret of the founding is indeed hidden. The traitors use this to subvert, and we have to seal it. But the monster is half awakened, and the crisis escalates. Yutong, is the outside clear? The communicator sounded and Yutong gasped, clear. The agents withdrew, and the remnants of the rogue cultivators ran away. But there is a large group of people outside the factory, reinforcements from the elders. Chi-Chi, you are deep inside, the demonic energy is strong, I can sense it, hurry back or seal it. Meng Qi clenched the hilt of the sword, her spiritual energy circulating like an array, her leadership shining in the crisis. Brother, let's work together to build a secret array. Suppress the demonic energy first, and expose the elders in full. This balance cannot be broken. The demonic shadow roared, the tunnel shook, the sound of helicopters over the city was faintly heard, and the crisis tightened like a net. The demonic shadow's low roar was like rolling thunder, and the black air was billowing in the cracks of the altar, as if it was a living creature trying to crawl out. Meng Qi held the blood mist sword tightly, and the spiritual energy circulated in her meridians. The water barrier around her body trembled slightly, blocking the chill that eroded her mind. She turned to look at Meng Qi with firm eyes. Brother, build the secret formation first. Use your spiritual wind palm to press the edge, and I will inject the blood spiritual energy to stabilize the center. The evil energy cannot be leaked, otherwise the helicopters above the city will not be patrolling, but air raids. Meng Qi nodded, and the spiritual wind in his palm unfolded like a whirlpool. The wind blade cut the black air and pushed back the creeping shadow on the edge of the altar. Okay, let's do it. Meng Qi, your spiritual energy is of high purity, and the fusion of blood can resonate with the heart of the array. Remember, building an array is not about hard work, but about leveraging force. According to the sect's ancient books, the ancient talisman array is based on spiritual veins, so we have to proceed in an orderly manner. As he spoke, he took a step back to make space, and the two of them cooperated tacitly as one. Meng Qi took a deep breath, tapped the blood mist sword lightly on the altar, and the spiritual energy was injected into the runes like thin threads. Suddenly, the image of the ancestors on the mural flickered, the red light of the blood oath echoed her bloodline, and the outline of the formation slowly emerged. Outside the tunnel, the roar of helicopters was getting closer and closer, mixed with the buzz of drones. The communicators suddenly rang, and Yutong's voice was urgent but with a hint of ridicule. Qi. Senior brother. There is chaos outside. I hacked into the government channel. They detected fluctuations in demonic energy and thought it was an explosion in the underground laboratory. The special agent team has sealed off the surrounding area of the factory and brought heavy equipment, laser detectors and so on. But what's even more troublesome is that the guys from the Shadow League have not dispersed, and the drone photographed them entering the river. I'll wait for you to come out and reap the benefits. I've learned some clues about the Elder from the Jade Slip fragments. He's not working alone, he's backed by the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, and his plan is to unleash monsters to trigger a war, with mortals serving as cannon fodder. Hurry, there are 3 traps at the entrance, and I'll send you a picture. Integrating the rune scans you taught, the stone wall at the bend of the river has a hidden talisman formation, and the order of cracking is wind, fog, and water. Images flashed through Meng Qi's mind, and the communicator projected a simple map, with the rune paths as clear as veins. She smiled and felt warm in her heart. Yutong, your hacker plus aura induction is simply our sea-fixing needle. Thank you, I remember the order. First the wind pressure mechanism, then the atomized runes, and finally the water spirit seal. Senior brother, we move your position while building the formation, and go deeper. Yutong's voice responded with a smile. Sisters, you're welcome. I will continue to stir up trouble outside and send out false alarms to cause them to fight among themselves. Milk tea still owes me double pearls. The altar formation was first formed, and the black energy was pressed back into the cracks, but the vibrations intensified, and the stone wall deep in the ruins began to crack, revealing a secret passage. Meng Qi took the lead and rushed in, with the blood mist sword leading the way and Ming Xian Lingfeng palm protecting the rear. The passage is narrow, spiritual energy and demonic energy are intertwined in the air, and the walls are full of traps. The first one is the wind blade trap, with countless invisible wind knives slashing at them like invisible nets. Ming Xian shouted, I'll do it. He pushed out with both palms, and the spiritual wind palm turned into a giant net, which counterattacked the wind blade. The wind roared in the passage, and the two forces collided and sparked. Meng Qi, connect to the mist, your blood mist sword can only handle this. She nodded, and the mist spurted from the tip of the sword, turning into a thick mist. The wind blade dispersed when it entered the mist, revealing the rune path. It's done. Yutong's opponent in the order, this mechanism is the ancient wind and fog formation, specially designed to prevent foreign invaders. Only a moment flashed in his heart. It turns out that growth is not a lonely process. With clues from partners, danger can be averted. The passage turned, and another water spirit mechanism was activated. Black water gushes out from the ground, transforming into a water beast and rushing towards it. The devilish energy wraps around it, making the water blade as sharp as a knife. Meng Qi jumped up, injected spiritual energy into the soles of her feet, and stepped lightly on the water as if walking on the ground. Brother, join forces. Your spiritual arrows seal the eyes of the water beast, and my fog arrows break the core. Ming Xuan's spiritual arrows rained down, hitting the phantom of the water beast, exposing the rune heart. Meng Qi waved the blood mist sword, and the mist arrow solidified and penetrated, the water beasts collapsed, the black water retreated into the trench, and a golden door emerged at the end of the passage, with the talisman array on the door as complex as a star map. Ancient talisman array. This is the core of the sect's protection. Ming Xian murmured, reaching out to touch it. The aura backfired and he groaned. It requires 2 blood cultivators to join forces. If one person can break it, it will backfire on the meridians. Meng Qi stepped forward and placed her palm against the door. Bloodline spiritual energy poured in, and Mingxuan's spiritual wind assisted the injection. The 2 spiritual energy merged like a double helix. The runes on the door light up, and the ancestral murals reappear. When the sect was founded, the ancestors swore their own blood to seal the demonic veins and build a balance formation, but the oath has hidden dangers. If the traitor knows the weakness of the blood oath, it can trigger a war through external exposure. The talisman array was cracked, the door opened, and there was a floating jade platform inside, with a crystal-clear magic weapon suspended on the platform, the guardian mirror. The mirror surface is like water waves, reflecting the panoramic view of the city. When the aura touches it, a warm current flows into Meng Qi's body. Her cultivation is like a river bursting its embankment, rushing to the upper level, and the blood forbidden technique is faintly awakened, a sealing technique that sacrifices her own aura. This is the guardian mirror. It can reflect and seal the demonic veins, the sect's lost key magic weapon. Mingxuan's eyes flashed with joy. Meng Qi, take it, it recognizes the bloodline master. She held the handle of the mirror, and the mirror light flashed, reflecting the external crisis. The Shadow Alliance team had broken through the entrance of the river, and the elder's figure loomed, leading the traitor leader, a white-haired old man with a gloomy aura, who was the owner of the gloomy voice in the jade slip. The elder sneered, "Juniors, you came just in time. The monster is half awakened and is about to be exposed. The government has assembled special forces and the casual cultivator alliance is waiting outside. This is not an accident, it is a plan. Once the dark history of the sect is exposed, internal fighting in the world of immortality will inevitably break out. We will use the devil to regain power. The war is about to break out, and the city is just an altar." Meng Qi's heart was shocked, and she saw the whole picture clearly in the mirror. The traitors were not only the inner ghosts, but external forces such as the Shadow Alliance and the Loose Cultivators Alliance had gathered. The purpose was not to simply expose them, but to use the release of monsters to trigger an all-out war in the world of immortals and shuffle power. The weakness of the ancestral blood oath was exploited by them, and the demonic backlash will destroy the foundation of the sect. The pain of growing up surged up, the responsibility was like a mountain. She couldn't just stick to it for a while, she had to sacrifice part of her bloodline and spiritual energy to seal it forever. "Senior brother, this conspiracy is too ruthless. The exposure is a cover, the war is the real thing. Elder, you destroyed the balance just for your own selfish desires." At the end of the passage, the traitor leader Elder appeared, surrounded by the spiritual energy of the 5 traitors behind him, and the demonic energy boosted their momentum. The Elder smiled ferociously. "Meng Qi, the one with awakened bloodline? It's a pity that it's too late. Hand over the guardian mirror, or the monster will eat you first." The black energy in his palm condensed and turned into claws to pounce. Ming Xian stood in front of him, and the spirit wind palm shook hard, causing the gravel in the passage to fly. "Meng Qi, protect your glasses. I'll hold them back." But there were many traitors, and Ming Xian gradually fell behind, and a claw scratched his shoulder, staining his clothes with blood. Meng Qi gritted her teeth, and her spiritual energy, which had greatly improved, erupted like a volcano. She used the forbidden blood technique, forbidden vein sealing. The spiritual energy in the body was reversed, and part of the bloodline's power turned into red light and injected into the guardian mirror. The mirror brightened, reflecting the elder's full face, and the sealing beam was wrapped like a chain. "Brother, stand back. This technique requires sacrificing 10% of the spiritual energy, but it can lock the trader's foundation. The inner monologue was short: sacrifice is not the end, but in exchange for greater protection. The red light burst out, and the elder's claws collapsed. He groaned and retreated, and the traders were in chaos. Impossible. The forbidden blood art has been lost. Yutong's communication rang again. Chi. There was an external explosion, and there was internal strife in the Shadow Alliance. I hacked their communications and sent false orders to make the cultivators suspicious of each other. The government helicopter was circling, but the demonic energy was suppressed by you, and they thought it was a false alarm. Hold on, I'll send a drone to deliver supplies, a spiritual energy amplifier. Her clues were timely, and Meng Qi took advantage of the situation to counterattack, using the blood mist sword and mist arrows like a dragon, in conjunction with the guardian mirror beam, to pierce the defenses of the two traders. Ming Xian healed himself, assisted by spiritual arrows. Meng Qi, your forbidden technique, sacrificed spiritual energy, and your cultivation level will be temporarily reduced, but the sect owes you a life. The elder roared, summoned the demonic shadow to merge, and blocked the light beam with a black gas shield. Little girl, what responsibility do you understand? The world of immortality should have a war, and the weak will be eliminated. External forces gather, and when the monsters appear, the mortal cultivators will lose. We will fish for it. But Meng Qi did not retreat, and the mirror light reflected the shadow of the war. The clouds rolled over the city, the spiritual energy turbulence loomed, and suspense came like a tide. She shouted, wrong. Balance is not a power game, it is coexistence. Senior brothers, join forces for the final blow, guard the mirror, seal it. The two people's spiritual energy converged, and the mirror light was like a sword, piercing the elder's heart. His figure twisted, the demonic energy collapsed, and the traitor leader fell to the ground, muttering, the war is near. The vibrations in the passage intensified, the cracks in the demonic veins expanded, and the black shadow roared louder. Meng Qi panted, her spiritual energy was weak but her eyes were bright. Senior brother, the seal is completed, but the conspiracy is not broken. External forces have gathered, and the war has hung a sword. We have found the ruins and stopped this chaos. Ming Xian helped her stand up, speaking in a bright voice. Come, Chi, the entrance is clear. But there is a large group of people outside the factory, and the leader of the Shadow Alliance appears. Retreat quickly, I will open the way. The crisis is not resolved. Low roars echo from the depths of the ruins, the lights of the city sway in the mirror, and the shadow of the war quietly approaches. The vibrations in the passage were like the panting of wild beasts, and the black energy at the edge of the crack in the devil's veins was still tentatively surging. Meng Qi held the guard mirror tightly, and the city lights on the mirror reflected her face, faintly flashing the aftermath of the spiritual energy. She felt that the spiritual energy in her body was as weak as the ebbing tide. The cost of sealing the forbidden veins caused her cultivation to temporarily drop by 1 level, but the warm current, the potential of the awakening of the bloodline, was quietly repairing the meridians. The wound on Mingxuan's shoulder has been healed and stopped bleeding with spiritual energy. He supported her and said in a low but steady voice, Chi, the entrance is not far away. Yutong will open the way and we will go straight to the river exit. Remember, after leaving the ruins, the fluctuation of demonic energy will cause more trouble. The Shadow Alliance and the government will attack from both sides. Meng Qi nodded, gritted her teeth and stood up straight. Brother, the shadow in the mirror, the omen of war cannot come true. Let's go. She put the guardian mirror into the hidden spirit pendant, and with a flash of spiritual energy, the pendant swallowed the magic weapon like a living thing, avoiding external detection. The two of them ran along the passage, their footsteps echoing between the narrow stone walls. The secret door at the end has been opened, and the moisture from the entrance of the river rushes into my face, mixed with the hum of the drone. Yutong's voice burst out from the communicator, with her usual urgent teasing, Chi. Senior brother. You have finally made a move. I have deployed smoke bombs and electromagnetic interference outside, and the government agents are catching you blind, thinking it is a leak from the chemical plant. I drilled a hole in the Shadow League's spiritual network, and drilled it from the east side of the river. Hurry up, the drone is at low altitude to pick up the fight, and it has brought a spiritual energy amplifier to replenish your blood. Meng Qi smiled and felt relieved. Yutong, your mortal technology plus spiritual energy induction is our savior. Remember the east bend of the river. They rushed out of the entrance, the river water rippled under the night, the lights of the factory flickered in the distance, and the agent's laser detectors were vaguely visible scanning the air. Several casual cultivators from the Shadow League formed a formation by the river, their black robes fluttering, and their spiritual energy webs spread like spider silk, but Yutong's interference caused the mesh to loosen. Ming Xian shouted, "Chi-chi, cover with fog arrows. My spirit wind palm breaks the net." Meng Qi waved the blood mist sword, and the mist surged out like a tide, blocking his sight. Mingshuan's palm was like a blade, tearing open the gap in the spirit net. The two of them jumped into the river, using their spiritual energy to protect their bodies to avoid the cold current, and sneaked along the east bend of the water. The drone flew low and dropped a small package of supplies. Meng Qi caught the spiritual energy amplifier and injected it into her body. Her weak meridians suddenly felt warm, and her cultivation levels slowly recovered. A brief thought flashed through her heart, the pain of sacrifice is still there, but the helping hands of her friends make this path of cultivating immortality less lonely. At the bend of the river, a truck disguised as a delivery truck stopped. Yutong looked out from the driver's seat, wearing sunglasses and smiling like a gangster. "Get in the car. Sisters, I hacked the traffic system and the green lights are all the way. I can't get rid of the pursuers behind me, but at least I'm back in the city." The truck started, its engine roared, and it shook off the tracking lights along the river. Meng Qi collapsed in the back seat, while Ming Xian checked the wound. The three of them exchanged glances while breathing. Yutong said while driving, "Let's talk about the external situation first. I used secular networks, hacked into the government intranet, and issued a false report, saying that the fluctuation of demonic energy was an underground gas explosion. The evidence was all my P's heat map. Half of their special forces were temporarily withdrawn, but there were still some. The surveillance team is even more chaotic. I spread rumors that there are too many insiders in them, and the casual cultivator alliance has become suspicious and started fighting with each other. Chi-chi, what did you find in the ruins? I am still unraveling the fragments of the jade slip, and I feel that there is something wrong with him." Meng Qi took out the guardian mirror from the hidden spirit pendant. The mirror flickered, reflecting the city night scene, and faintly showing the vague outline of the trader's stronghold, a building hidden in the old warehouse area, with an undercurrent of spiritual energy. This is a guardian mirror, a lost magical weapon of the sect, which can reflect and seal the demonic veins. The elders and others wanted to use the exposure of the monsters to trigger a war. We sealed it for a while, but the root is not broken. Senior brother, your sect has a lot of knowledge, tell me about the sealing key. Ming Xian rubbed his eyebrows and said in a solemn voice, "It is recorded in ancient books that 3 things are needed to completely seal the demonic veins: the guardian mirror, the blood oath jade slip, and a seal key. The key is hidden in the trader's stronghold, which is the old nest of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. It is located in an abandoned industrial area on the edge of the city. The Elder's betrayal is not done alone. He is an insider of the Alliance and plans to release the monster to destroy the balance. We must infiltrate and steal the key to prevent the monster from completely awakening." The truck drove into the urban elevated highway, neon lights shone into the window. Meng Qi's mind was spinning rapidly, integrating intelligence. External forces gathered, the inner ghost elder knew the weakness of the blood oath, and if the cracks in the demonic veins expanded, the turbulent flow of urban spiritual energy would cause panic among mortals. She planned in a low voice, "Okay, the counterattack plan has 3 steps. First, Yutong, you continue to hinder the government's investigation, hack their satellites, and create more illusions to make them think that it is an infighting among terrorists. Second, senior brother, you train me in high-level combat skills, bloodline after the forbidden surgery. My meridians are unstable, so I have to fuse with the guardian mirror to improve my strength. Third, we infiltrate the stronghold, and I use stealth to sneak in. The core is to steal the key and seal the demonic veins permanently. We can't fight hard, and we have to outwit the mystery. Yutong whistled. Chi, you white-collar worker is so smart. Okay, I will set up a network tonight, connect with black market informants, and spread false news about the Shadow Alliance's rebellion. Senior brother, your Lingfeng headmaster can teach me. In case I drive to pursue the troops, can you add some wind? Ming Xian shook his head and laughed. You, immortal, have zero foundation in aura, so you should learn to dodge first. Meng Qi, the training starts from now. Your bloodline awakening is suitable, but there will be a personal crisis. During the fusion, the mirror spirit will test your inner shadow, and your cultivation will reach the top. The truck parked downstairs in Yutong's secret apartment, which was hidden on the top floor of an old community. The hustle and bustle of the city could be seen outside the window. After entering, Yutong locked the door, unfolded the projection map, and marked the trader's stronghold. Here, the old warehouse, the middle level of the aura barrier. I hacked the surrounding surveillance, and the heat map showed a dozen guards. Chi, I simulated your infiltration route 3 times. The success rate is 70%. Meng Qi nodded, sat cross-legged on the futon, and took out the guardian mirror. The water in the mirror rippled, reflecting her figure, a tough face under the white-collar uniform, but a phantom flashed, the city collapsed, the sect was destroyed, and the partners fell to the ground. When the fusion began, she injected spiritual energy, and the mirror spirit whispered like the wind, descendant of blood, how much sacrifice will be required to protect the road? When a personal crisis strikes, Meng Qi's meridians are on fire, and her inner conflict emerges. Why should I, an ordinary girl, shoulder this responsibility? Is the awakening of bloodline a blessing or a curse? In the phantom, the elder's face was distorted and mocking. Little girl, how much do you know about the dark history of the sect? The blood oath of the ancestors was originally to seize the spiritual power of the demonic veins. The balance is false, but the power is real. Elder, I betrayed you just to reveal the truth and let the world of immortality rebirth and fight. The turning point was like a lightning strike. Meng Qi, a picture of jade slip fragments pieced together, flashed in his mind. The elder was not just ambitious, he discovered that his ancestors had concealed that the blood oath was not a pure seal, but absorbed the essence of the demonic veins to strengthen the sect. Before the weakness was exploited by the outside, he originally wanted to liquidate internally, but he was roped in by the rogue cultivator alliance and became a double agent. The truth made her confused. Does the sect she protects have a dark history? This is the test of growth. She gritted her teeth and whispered, Senior brother, the elder's betrayal was not all due to selfish desires. He knew about the shadow of the blood oath and wanted to use the war to shuffle the cards, but he was wrong. Balance is coexistence, and we cannot let monsters destroy everything. Ming Xian stepped forward, held her shoulders, and injected the spiritual wind palm to stabilize the meridians. Chi, hold on. The dark history of the sect is an old score, and our new blood must rewrite it. Fusion, hold on. Yutong handed over hot cocoa and teased, Sisters, what are you thinking about? What about that? Take a sip of milk tea and get double the pearls. Don't let the old man ruin your head. Whatever the truth is, beat him first. Warmth came over her, and Meng Qi's inner monologue was brief. Conflict is like a knife, but tenacity is my sword. The spiritual energy exploded, the guardian mirror merged into the hidden spirit pendant in her mouth, the power of the magic weapon gathered like a river, her cultivation level skyrocketed, the blood mist sword evolved faintly, and the mist arrows could condense the spiritual shield. After the crisis, she stood up and her eyes became sharper. It's done. Senior brother, now train high-level combat skills, teach me the combined attack of spirit, wind, blood and mist. In the apartment, the lights were dim, and Ming Xian demonstrated the advanced form of spiritual wind palm. The wind blade transformed into a dragon, and the spiritual energy rolled around like a whirlpool. Chi, your blood mist is flexible, and with my wind power, it can turn into a wind and mist tornado. Try it, inject blood, don't force it. Meng Qi followed, the sword energy intertwined with the wind of the palm, the air roared, and a test talisman paper was shattered. Yutong was recording the video and laughed. Wow, this trick will definitely scare away thieves on the street. The plan is set, infiltration tomorrow. I will disrupt the situation from the outside, and you will get the key from the inside. Awakening of the monster. There is no way. Late at night, Meng Qi looked out the window at the sea of city lights, and her inner conflict still existed. The elder's truth was like a thorn, but her determination to protect him was even stronger. The shadow of the traitor's stronghold was approaching, and a counterattack was imminent. Ming Xuan's whisper sounded, "Qi, the shadow of the battle is approaching, but we have mirrors, swords, and sisters. Go on." She nodded, circulated her spiritual energy, and prepared to take steps towards the final showdown. Before dawn, the city was still shrouded in mist. The lights on the top floor of Yutong's apartment were dim. The three of them gathered around the projected map, and the air was filled with the faint fragrance of coffee and spiritual energy. Meng Qi rubbed her temples. The aftermath of last night's fusion made her head buzz, but there was no hesitation in her eyes. She looked at the flashing red dot on the map, the traitor's stronghold, the old warehouse like a lurking beast. "Senior brother, Yutong, the plan is finally confirmed. Starting at 7 o'clock, I will sneak into the main building and steal the key. You will support from the outside. Ming Xian will be cut off, and Yutong will disrupt the situation. Remember, the elder's truth, we won't mention it. Let's seal the demonic veins first. The balance cannot be broken." Ming Xian nodded, gently swirling the spiritual wind in his palm, and checked the hidden spirit pendant. "Qi, you have reached the peak of your cultivation. The blood mist sword and the wind blade are enough to deal with the middle-level guards. But there are elder's spiritual arrays in the stronghold, so don't be brave. Yutong, where is your drone array? The government is still monitoring the edge of the industrial zone." Yutong's fingers flew on the keyboard, and the projection jumped out of the heat map, with red dots squirming like an ant colony. "Brother, don't worry. The black market informant came last night. Shadow, there was an internal fight among the Alliance cultivators, and the rumors I spread worked. But the government agents did not withdraw all the troops, so I hacked their internal network and sent out a false alarm, saying that there was a chemical leak in the industrial area, and led them to the West River. The drones were equipped with electromagnetic pulse bombs and spiritual energy sensors, and the logistics were as stable as an old dog. Sister, don't let me waste my efforts." Meng Qi smiled and patted Yutong on the shoulder. "You, my best friend, are always my reassurance. Okay, 7 o'clock on time. Senior brother, teach me the last trick, the seal variation of the wind and mist tornado, just in case the key triggers the trap." Ming Xian stood up, the wind blew slightly in the narrow space of the apartment, and he rolled up the wind in his palm. The paper on the table said, "Look carefully, the blood mist is flexible and can be guided by wind. The reflection power injected into the guardian mirror can lock the source of the devilish energy. Try it once." Meng Qi drew her sword, and the blood mist was wrapped like silk. Ming Xian pushed with the wind of his palm, and a vortex formed in the air. It hit the corner of the wall to test the talisman, and the talisman paper shattered into light spots. She gasped and sheathed her sword, and a brief thought flashed through her heart. The thorn of black history is still there, but this power is to rewrite the future. It's done. Yutong, prepare the hot cocoa to celebrate after the war. At 7 o'clock sharp, the truck disguised as a delivery truck quietly drove into the edge of the industrial area. There are many abandoned warehouses and the fog is thick. The drone of government drones in the distance is blocked by Yutong's interference network. Meng Qi got out of the car, using her concealment skills. Her figure melted into the shadows like water waves. Ming Xian and Yutong hid behind the truck, and the screen switched on the monitor. "Qi, there are 2 guards at the east gate, with mid-level aura. I will fly the drone low to divert them away." Yutong whispered, her voice in the communicator was filled with excitement. "Go, sisters, my best friend is online." Meng Qi nodded, her spiritual energy wrapped around her body like mist, and slipped through the barbed wire fence. The black shadow of the main building of the warehouse stood tall, and the cultivator at the door whispered, "The elders said that the crack in the devil's veins has stabilized, and once the key arrives, the essence can be absorbed. Those fools in the Shadow Alliance are still biting each other." Her heart tightened. The elders' plan, to use the weakness of the blood oath to seize magic power to reshape the sect. Sneaking into the side window, the light wall of the spiritual array flashes in the building, and guards patrol. She slid against the wall, using the blood mist sword as an invisible shield, and came to the door of the secret room on the second floor. The spiritual energy leaked from the crack in the door, and the voice of the elder came from inside, hoarse as a ghost. "The blood oath was originally a greedy trick of the ancestors to seal the demonic veins. Absorbing spiritual power to strengthen the sect is the truth. The Rogue Cultivator Alliance gave me the opportunity to expose the war and make the mortal government mess up. We will return to the immortal world. The key is here, after the monster wakes up." Meng Qi held her breath, the suspense tightened like a web. The mystery was finally solved. The blood oath is not a pure seal, but a double-edged sword. The concealed ambitions of the ancestors caused the elders to collapse from within, and then joined forces with the outside world to destroy the balance. But this truth further proves that the seal is necessary. If the demonic veins are broken, the city's aura will run wild, and all mortal cultivators will be destroyed. She pushed the door gently, and the hidden spirit pendant was reflected, and the mirror spirit whispered, "Guardian, the key is on the altar. If triggered, the alarm will be triggered." She sneaked in, and on the jade altar in the center of the secret room, an ancient key shone with light, and the surrounding black air was testing. When he reached out to grab it, the trap beside the altar erupted, the spiritual array glowed red, and the alarm bell rang. "Intruder!" The elder turned around, hunted in black robes, and the demonic energy in his palm rushed towards him like a snake. Meng Qi dodged, unsheathed the blood mist sword, and blocked the mist arrow with a shield. "Elder, you are wrong. Black history is an old score, but a war will only destroy everything. The sect needs to be rewritten, not destroyed." The elder smiled ferociously. "Little girl, what about the awakening of the bloodline? I will decide on the essence of the demonic vein." He summoned the casual cultivators, and more than 10 people rushed into the building, with spiritual arrows flying randomly. Meng Qi retreated to the door, and the communicator blared, "Chi-Chi. The alarm has sounded, the main force of the Shadow Alliance is coming outside, and the government agents have also turned back. Senior brother is behind the scenes. I will release the smoke, hold on." The peripheral war broke out. Ming Xian jumped out of the truck, transformed into a dragon with his spiritual wind palm, rolled up the wind blade and tore open the spiritual network of the Shadow Alliance. "Come on, traitor. Chi-Chi is included, I will guard it." The roar of the wind drove away the 3 casual cultivators, and the government agent's fierce response when the light gun came. He blocked it with his spiritual energy shield and shouted, "Yutong, pulse bomb. Make them fight among themselves." Yutong tapped his fingers wildly, the drone dived, the electromagnetic wave exploded, the Shadow Alliance spiritual weapon failed, the agent accidentally shot the scattered cultivator, and the melee was like a fire. "Senior brother, you did a great job." The black market informant said that the elder's inner ghost was exposed and the casual cultivator alliance collapsed. "Chi-Chi, have you got the key?" Inside the building, Meng Qi was surrounded, and the elder's devilish energy pressed against her. Her meridians were burning, and her cultivation level exploded. "Senior brother, answer me, the wind and mist tornado." She injected the protective mirror, and the blood mist and wind gathered from the vents. The palm of the hand outside Mingxian guided the wind, and the tornado took shape, broke through the wall, and flew away the guards. The black air was sealed by the mirror light. The elder roared, "Impossible! How can you, a white-collar worker, be worthy?" Meng Qi pointed her sword at him, raining arrows like mist, "Because I am not for power, but for balance. Elder, I know your truth, but if you follow the wrong path, it will only make the sect fall into disgrace." She jumped out of the window and was protected by a tornado. When she landed, Mingxian caught her, and the engine of Yutong's truck roared, "Get in! There is a wave of troops chasing behind you." In the car, Meng Qi gasped and held the key, her spiritual energy circulated, and her inner conflict turned into determination. Black history is like a mirror, reflecting the path of growth. She whispered, "Senior brother, Yutong, the mystery is all solved. The greed of the blood oath is the root cause, but the seal is the only way out. The roots of the devil's veins are deep in the ruins. Let's go back to the river and fix it forever. The external forces are in chaos, the Shadow Alliance is in conflict, and the government is blind. Now, the counterattack peaks." Ming Xian nodded and healed her minor injury. "Qi, you have matured to lead this alliance. The combination of wind and fog is perfect, and the guardian is worthy of the name." Yutong smiled while driving. "Sisters, hot cocoa is waiting, the milk tea pearls will be doubled after the war. But the crisis is not over, the demonic energy wave is strong, and the government helicopter is chasing." The truck drove wildly on the highway, and there were black shadows in the rearview mirror, and the elder's demonic aura followed him like a ghost. Meng Qi looked out the window, neon lights intertwined with the morning light, and a sense of crisis surged. The final sealing battle was close at hand. She held the key tightly, her aura boiling. "Hold on, our adventure will come to a successful conclusion." The truck's engine roared, running wildly on the highway like a wounded beast. The morning light pierced the fog and shone on the outlines of the pursuing soldiers in the rearview mirror. Meng Qi held the steering wheel tightly, and Yutong sat in the passenger seat. The tablet screen in her hand flashed a heat map, and red dots surged in like a frenzy. "Sisters, the black shadow behind is the demonic mark of the elder. There are 2 government helicopters, heading at 10 o'clock. Turn left and get off the bridge. The entrance to the river ruins is at the abandoned dock behind the industrial area." I turned off the traffic light, and it turned green. Yutong's voice was urgent, but with that familiar optimism. As he spoke, his fingers flew, cutting off the wireless communication of the pursuers. Ming Xian knelt in the back of the car, his spiritual wind palm protecting the rear of the car, his wind blade cutting off a trailing spiritual arrow like an invisible blade. "Qi, speed up. The elder's demonic energy is activating the arteries, and the turbulent flow of spiritual energy on the edge of the city has turned into a whirlpool. Mortals haven't noticed it yet, but it will be too late. The ruins of the river are the core of the blood oath. Once the key arrives, we will go straight to the depths to seal it." He glanced at Meng Qi, with the determination of his senior brother in his eyes. "After the fusion of your bloodline, your cultivation has reached the edge of perfection. You will take the lead in this battle." Meng Qi gritted her teeth and stepped on the accelerator to the end. The truck swung down the elevated road, causing sparks to rub against the tires. The searchlight of the helicopter behind them swept over, and the elder's laughter came from the demonic aura, whispering like a ghost, "Little girl, run. The demonic veins have awakened, and it's time to wake up from your dream of balance." Her heart felt hot, the blood mist sword buzzed in her palm, and a brief thought flashed in her heart. From the white-collar worker who worked overtime to vomiting blood, to now shouldering the fate of the sect, every step along the way is proof of growth. We can't let the elders ruin it. Senior brother, Yutong, hold on. We are not running away, we are fighting back. See you at the river. The ruins of the wharf are in sight, the river laps at the shore, and the fog is as thick as a spiritual array. The truck crashed through the iron gate and stopped in front of the secret entrance. The 3 of them jumped down. Ming Xian blocked the path behind with a palm of wind and mist, blocking the view of the pursuers. Yutong gasped, and the drone in her backpack buzzed into the sky. I will guard the perimeter and deploy spiritual energy amplifiers and smoke bombs. The government agents are on the ground, but the Shadow League is in internal strife, and the rumors I spread have made them kill each other. Qi, Ming Xian, go in. Sisters, remember to come back for milk tea, I will add double the pearls. Meng Qi hugged her, and friendship surged up like a warm current. Yutong, you are my backing, forever. If anything happens, I'll give you the concealment charm, don't be pushy. Yutong blinked, pretending not to care. What silly things are you talking about among best friends? Let's go and complete the story. I'll be there to guard you. Meng Qi nodded, and protected her with the wind of his palm. I'll draw the line between mortals, concentrate on sealing it. The entrance to the ruins is like the mouth of a giant beast. The runes on the stone door flash. When the key is touched, the door cracks open and spiritual energy pours out like a tide. Meng Qi and Ming Xian sneak into the deep passage, and the ancient murals on the wall tell the dark history of the sect. The blood oath of the ancestors is not a pure seal, but uses the demonic veins to absorb spiritual power to grow, but due to greed, the seal becomes a double-edged sword. The elder's betrayal is the continuation of this shadow. Brother, this truth, we have to rewrite it. It's not destruction, it's rebirth. Meng Qi whispered. The power of her blood was rushing like a river. She felt that her meridians were harmonious, and her cultivation had finally reached perfection. Deep in the hall, suddenly, the cracks in the demonic veins opened like a black hole. The demons were half awake, and tentacle-like black energy danced wildly. The elder stood in front of the altar, hunting in black robes, and the demonic energy in his palm condensed into a beast. Here you are. Young white-collar workers with awakened bloodline, regret it now. The casual cultivators of the Shadow Alliance are dead, government agents are blocking the perimeter, and your mortal best friends can't escape. Essence of the demonic lineage, I want to reshape the world of immortality. He smiled ferociously, summoned the monster, and the black energy turned into a giant python and rushed towards it, and the spiritual wind in the palace rolled back. Meng Qi drew her sword, and blood mist wrapped around it like a dragon. Elder, you mistook ambition for salvation. The secret of the sect is for balance, not for a power game. The dark history is over, and we will protect it. She flashed, and the mist arrow condensed into a shield to block the python's tail, and Ming Xian Zhang turned the wind into a dragon, and the wind blade tore through the black air. Chi-Chi, left wing. Wind and mist attacked together, lock the crack. The two of them had a tacit understanding. Ming Xian guided the wind, she injected blood mist, the tornado formed, and flew away the demon python. Under the reflection of the mirror spirit, half of the black air was sealed. The elder roared angrily, with demonic energy pressing down on him, and stone chips flying from the top of the palace. Delusion. The blood oath should have been mine. He rushed towards the altar, trying to reverse the connection. Meng Qi knew the crisis, and her bloodline fully exploded. She jumped into the air, the guardian mirror merged with the hidden spirit pendant, and the light shone brightly. Senior brother, variant seal. Inject my bloodline forbidden technique. Ming Xian nodded, the spiritual wind lifted her up, the wind and mist tornado rushed straight into the crack, the tip of her sword penetrated, the forbidden vein was sealed like a chain, sacrificing part of the spiritual energy in exchange for eternity. The monster wailed, its tentacles shattered, and the black hole shrank. But the elder was unwilling to give in, and the demonic energy turned into an arrow and shot straight at Meng Qi's heart. Outside the palace, Yutong's drone alarm sounded. Chi-Chi. The agents broke in, and I can't stop the smoke. The elder is outside and is chasing me. Yutong's voice was trembling, but firm. Meng Qi felt a pain in her heart, and the trajectory of her growth flashed. From a lonely white-collar worker to a guardian with sisters and brothers, this friendship cannot be broken. She shouted, Yutong, hold on. Brother, go save her, I'll stand in the way of the elder. Ming Xian hesitated. Chi-Chi, you. She flashed her sword and the blood mist shield expanded. Trust me. This is my battle. Ming Xian came out in a flash, and a spiritual wind broke out outside the palace to fight against the agents and elder clones. Meng Qi fought the elder alone, her sword shadow like rain. Elder, you can't destroy the balance. Let me rewrite the history of the sect, starting from guarding. The elder's demonic palm slapped her, and she dodged and counterattacked. The mist arrow penetrated his shoulder, and the black energy collapsed. He knelt down and gasped, how can you be a match? A mortal girl. Meng Qi pointed her sword at his throat, her eyes stoic, because I am not a match, but a right. Perfect blood, not power, but responsibility. Let's end it. She injected spiritual energy and sealed his meridians. The elder fell, and the demonic energy disappeared. Outside the hall, Mingxuan's wind blades swept away the agents, Yutong's electromagnetic bomb exploded, and the elder's clone collapsed. She rushed into the palace door, covered in dust, but threw herself at Meng Qi with a smile. "Sister. You're okay. There's chaos outside, the Shadow Alliance has collapsed, and the government thought it was a terrorist attack. I hacked their records, cultivating immortals. It doesn't exist." But her eyes froze, looking at the radiance of the seal, and the afterimages of the monsters flashed like a miracle. The world of cultivating immortals unfolded before her eyes, the aura was like a rainbow, and the afterglow of the blood mist sword was warm. She was stunned, with tears shining. "Chi-Chi, this is crazy. But I understand why you changed. Keep it a secret, I swear. My best friend will always be here." Meng Qi hugged her tightly, emotions surged like a tide, and the climax made her heart surge with warmth. From the unexpected map to this guardian miracle, growth is not about loneliness, but this bond. Mingxian came over and healed the minor injuries of the three people. "Chi-Chi, the seal is done. The demonic veins are permanent, the external threat has been resolved, the Shadow League has internal strife and self-destruction, the government has captured the remnant members, and fought for mortals. Elder, the sect will be liquidated." He handed over the map. Meng Qi nodded, injected the last spiritual energy, and the map turned into ashes and drifted away. "Destroy it. The sect returns to secrecy, and we rebuild the balance. The dark history of our ancestors has turned into a lesson." The three of them walked out of the ruins. The morning light was shining brightly on the river, and the city's outline shone in the distance. Meng Qi looked at it, feeling calm in her heart. That ordinary white-collar worker has become a tough guardian. The bloodline is perfect, the cultivation is as stable as a mountain, and the future is a chapter to be rewritten. Yutong held her arm. "Sisters, let's go for milk tea. Double the pearls, let's celebrate." Mingxian smiled. "Add a cup of hot cocoa. Chi-Chi, you lead the way, and we will follow." She smiled, with brisk steps, and the three of them merged into the morning mist side by side. The adventure came to a successful end, and balance lasted forever.